Immortal family of the Clear River. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Counterattack. This kid probably has a lot of good stuff on him. I have no objection to you just wanting this magic weapon. Just don't regret it later, Zhao Tipeo responded to the attacking Gitao while carefully approaching the battlefield. Seeing that the two men looked down on him in their words, Song Qingming was a little angry, but he still didn't act rashly. He tried his best to stabilize his mentality and didn't let the two men easily anger him. Just after blocking the attack of Gitao's black horde, before he had time to put away the black gold shield, Song Qingming felt a cold light coming from behind. Seeing that the black gold shield had no time to turn behind him, Song Qingming quickly used his magic power and released a yellow body protecting aura to protect himself from behind. Just as the body protecting aura was formed, a green dagger appeared behind Song Qingming. His body protecting aura only blocked it slightly, and was soon easily pierced by the dagger. Fortunately, Song Qingming took advantage of this little time to slightly sidestep and retreat to the side, avoiding the frontal attack of the green dagger. The person who used the green dagger to attack was Zhao Tipeo. Taking advantage of the frontal restraint of the ghost head just now, this guy carefully touched Song Qingming's back and used the dagger to launch a sneak attack, almost seriously injuring Song Qingming with one blow. Although Song Qingming just dodged this attack, he was still scratched on the shoulder. Fortunately, the elder used the skin of the iron-mouthed pig in his hand to refine a soft armor for him. With the protection of this robe, Zhao Tipeo's attack did not cause him any harm. One of the two people attracted his attention, and the other took the opportunity to attack him when his defense was weak. The skilled cooperation between the two people did not need verbal communication. The two people in front deliberately teased him with words, probably to make him take the initiative to attack and reveal his flaws. The dagger magic weapon that Zhao Tipeo just used, although the grade was not high, should have some concealment function, and the attack was silent. It was really a magic weapon that was very good at sneak attacks, and it almost made Song Qingming suffer a big loss just now. After leaving the attack range of the two, Song Qingming was still a little frightened. He really underestimated the two guys with evil smiles in front of him. Zhao Tipeo was very surprised to see that his attack failed. After looking at Gitao in the distance, the two did not give Song Qingming a chance to breathe and attacked again. This time, Gitao did not choose to continue to use the gourd magic weapon, but changed to a long sword surrounded by green gas, and rushed towards Song Qingming fiercely with Zhao Tizhu. However, the power of Gitao's magic weapon was not as strong as the gourd magic weapon he used before. It looked like an ordinary medium-grade magic weapon, including Zhao Tizhu's dagger magic weapon. The frontal attack was not strong. The two people's consecutive attacks were easily blocked by the black gold shield in Song Qingming's hand. After more than a dozen rounds, the battlefield suddenly fell into a stalemate. Zhao Tizhu and the other man were unable to break through the defense of the black gold shield in Song Qingming's hand. Song Qingming also put all his energy into defense, hoping to waste time with the opponent by relying on his strong mana. The two had been chasing him for so long, so he must have little mana left. The more time he could waste, the greater his chances of winning would be. Seeing that Song Qingming only defended and did not attack, Zhao Tizhu also saw his thoughts. Taking advantage of the gap in the battle, he quickly winked at Gitao. After receiving the information, Gitao rushed up to the sky with his big knife in his hand, increased the mana injected into the green big knife, and chopped down Song Qingming again. Song Qingming raised the black gold shield and was about to take the knife. Unexpectedly, Zhao Tipeo on the other side suddenly threw a small silver iron block at the black gold shield. After the silver iron block touched the black gold shield, it did not cause any damage, but stuck firmly to the magic weapon. Zhao Tipeo was delighted to see that the silver iron block had already attached to the black gold shield. He laughed wildly and said, "Boy, you've been fooled." As soon as the silver iron block stuck to the black gold shield, Song Qingming immediately felt that the connection between him and the black gold shield was suddenly cut off. The black gold shield, which had just been shining, soon became dim and turned into a palm-sized black iron plate, falling to the ground. The sudden failure of the black gold shield also caught Song Qingming off guard. He could only use the white jade sword in his hand to barely meet the powerful blow of the ghost head. With a loud bang, Song Qingming was knocked back more than 10 steps by the ghost head's knife. Before he could recover, Zhao Tipeo chuckled and rushed to Song Qingming again with a green dagger in his hand. At such a close distance, without the defense of the black gold shield, in Zhao Tipeo's eyes, Song Qingming was already a lamb to be slaughtered. Unexpectedly, when he approached Song Qingming, he found that Song Qingming, who should have looked desperate, showed him a strange smile. This kid, could it be that he has another trump card? Before Zhao Tipeo could figure out this problem, a purple light suddenly lit up between the two of them, and a golden copper umbrella appeared in Song Qingming's hand. The copper umbrella spun quickly and blocked the green dagger used by Zhao Tipeo. Damn, there is actually another defensive magic weapon. This kid is really a big fish. Seeing that Song Qingming used another defensive magic weapon, Zhao Tipeo could only reluctantly put away the green dagger and wanted to temporarily leave the battlefield. Unexpectedly, several thin golden needles suddenly shot out from the middle of the golden copper umbrella in Song Qingming's hand and shot into Zhao Tipeo's eyes. Ah! Zhao Tipeo suddenly screamed and covered one of his eyes with his hand. Although he instinctively turned his head to avoid several golden needles shot from the copper umbrella, two of them still shot into his eyes accurately, causing him to sit on the ground in pain. Hearing Zhao Tipeo's scream, Gitao, who was standing beside him, was also stunned. He hurriedly put away the black gold shield that Song Qingming dropped on the ground and rushed to support Zhao Tipeo. Unexpectedly, a wide giant tiger suddenly appeared in front of Gitao. A flash of lightning flashed from the giant tiger's mouth, and a ball of lightning and fire quickly interrupted Gitao's forward steps. It was the thunder tiger puppet beast that Song Qingming had recently sacrificed. After letting the puppet beast entangle Gitao, Song Qingming seized the time and quickly killed Zhao Tizhu, who was still screaming, holding the white jade sword. Zhao Tizhu's eye was bleeding continuously, and even Song Qingming's body movements were a little blurry. He could not confront Song Qingming head-on at all. He could only instinctively sacrifice a few defensive talismans to temporarily block Song Qingming's attack. The sudden loss of an eye also made Zhao Tipeo lose a lot of fighting power. At this moment, he could only hope that Gitao would come to support him quickly. However, Gitao was facing the sharp attack of the Thunder Tiger puppet beast. Although he was very anxious, he could not escape in a short time. After several talismans were used up, Zhao Tipeo wanted to escape desperately, but Song Qingming did not give him the opportunity. The wide jade sword turned quickly and soon cut off Zhao Tipeo's head with one sword. Chapter 77. Each has his own plans. Seeing that Zhao Tipeo was already dead, Gitao was shocked. He dared not stay for a moment. He quickly took out a magic talisman from his body and stuck it on his leg, trying to get rid of the entanglement of the Thunder Tiger puppet beast and escape far away. However, after Song Qingming killed Zhao Tipeo, he immediately thought of this situation. Under his careful control, the Thunder Tiger puppet beast flashed with spiritual light and released several sharp lightning in the direction where Gitao wanted to escape, which soon interrupted Gitao's forward steps. Seeing the lightning coming from behind, Gitao did not dare to use his body protection to resist it, and could only choose to turn sideways to avoid it. In this delay, Song Qingming had already run in front of him and completely blocked his way. Fellow Taoist, please stop. We have foundation building cultivators in Eagle Nest Ridge, and you are also a person who has been in the floating cloud mountains. I advise you not to make the hatred too deep. We were wrong in today's matter. Why don't you give me some face and let it go? I am willing to swear that I will pretend that I have never seen you today, and we will never come to you for revenge in the future. Song Qingming was in front, and the Thunder Tiger puppet beast was behind. Seeing that he could not get away, Gitao's face became very frightened, and his mouth was completely devoid of the playful color when he just besieged Song Qingming. He still hasn't figured it out. Just now, he and Zhao Tipeo were still teasing Song Qingming, the cat, but after a while, the roles of several people have been completely reversed. Zhao Tipeo has become a corpse, and he has become the desperate mouse. After hearing Gitao's words of seeking peace, Song Qingming pretended to be a little surprised and said, "You are from Eagle Nest Ridge again. How can I be sure that I will let you go today? You Eagle Nest Ridge will not seek revenge on me in the future. Don't use empty words to deceive me, Dao can rest assured about this. I can sign a blood soul contract with you and never mention today's matter to anyone in the future." In this way, Dao can rest assured. Seeing that Song Qingming was a little hesitant after hearing about Eagle Nest Ridge, Gitao hurriedly continued to speak. "Blood soul contract, Do you still have this thing on you? Take it out and show it to me first." After Song Qingming finished speaking, he slowly walked towards Gitao. Seeing that Song Qingming seemed to have been persuaded by him, Gitao slowly showed a smile on his face. He reached out and took out a black scroll from the storage bag, wanting to give it to Song Qingming. Just when Gitao took out a black scroll, Song Qingming, who had walked in front of him, suddenly emitted a sword light from his hand and slashed at him quickly. The Thunder Tiger puppet beast, who had been behind him, also released a lightning light at Gitao's back. Although Gitao had always been a little wary of Song Qingming and blocked the sneak attack of the white jade sword in Song Qingming's hand, he was still hit in the back by the lightning light of the Thunder Tiger puppet beast. Didn't we agree to sign the Blood Soul contract? Why are you still doing this?" Gitao asked a few words unwillingly, and then spit out a mouthful of blood. He staggered back more than 10 steps and fell to the ground. He was seriously injured by the attack of the Thunder Tiger puppet beast. He really didn't expect that Song Qingming, who had already taken all the advantages, would choose to sneak attack him so shamelessly. "I don't know what a Blood Soul contract is, and I don't have time to study this with you here today. I think we don't need to bother with this." Song Qingming kicked away the black scroll that fell on the ground, picked up the white jade sword with a blank face, and walked directly towards Gitao with the Thunder Tiger puppet beast. "Dao, please let me go. I am willing to hand over my storage bag. I only asked Dao to let me live." Facing Gitao's sincere pleading, Song Qingming did not choose to let him go, and finally killed him with a sword. After killing Gitao, Song Qingming quickly and unceremoniously looted everything from the two people, and then Song Qingming moved his magic power and released 2 fireballs to burn the bodies of the 2 people. Although he had solved the 2 pursuers, Song Qingming did not dare to stay here for long. After recovering his magic power a little, he chose a random direction and continued on his way. He didn't win this battle so easily. He relied on the fact that the opponent didn't know that he had the magic weapon Xianluo Umbrella on him. He took advantage of the opponent's advantage and deliberately showed weakness, which made Zhao Tipeo reveal his flaws and caught them off guard. Although the two cooperated well, their own strength was not too strong. Before the battle, Zhao Tipeo also lost the spirit beast Earth-Splitting Bear, which also affected his combat effectiveness. Otherwise, even if Song Qingming had a top-grade spirit talisman as a trump card to ensure that he could escape smoothly today, it would not be so easy to kill the two of them. Half a day later, Song Qingming, who was exhausted, came to Qi Mountain and built a simple residence next to a huge bluestone, preparing to rest there for a night. After rushing for half a day, seeing that no one was chasing him from behind, Song Qingming gradually let down his guard. After eating some spirit rice to replenish his own mana, Song Qingming came to the top of the huge bluestone under the moonlight. With the bright moonlight and the cold wind, Song Qingming tried to calm down his still flustered mood. Although he was still a little immature in the world of cultivating immortals, he had several experiences of fighting with life and death, but this time was indeed the first time he had killed someone in his life. Unlike the monsters he killed, although he was forced to kill these two people, the feeling of killing his own kind always made him feel a little uneasy. Speaking of it, the robbers in Yingchao Ridge were really his enemies. In Qing County, Song Qingming was chased by them and almost lost his life. Unexpectedly, he encountered them again in Gianfang. After a long time, Song Qingming suddenly took out a black scroll. This scroll was the scroll of the Blood Soul contract mentioned by Gitao before. Song Qingming also put it away in the end. After putting the black scroll a little further away from him, Song Qingming used the object control technique to open the scroll. Unexpectedly, after the black scroll was opened, a small silver ball suddenly popped out. As soon as the silver ball flew into the air, it suddenly flashed with silver light, emitting a dazzling light. Song Qingming quickly closed his eyes. He only heard a loud bang. After Song Qingming opened his eyes, he saw that the silver ball and the black scroll were blown to pieces. Sure enough, 2 days later, in a barren mountain, Song Qingming was fiddling with a bunch of messy spiritual objects. Among these spiritual objects, there were not only magic tools, but also elixirs, magic talismans, and various common things in the world of cultivation. In the corner of one side, there was also a pile of colorful low-level spiritual stones. Gitao and Zhao Tipeo used the same low-level storage bags as Song Qingming. This time, Song Qingming spent less than 2 days to easily open the magic restrictions set on the storage bags of the two people. Compared with Liu Xianlong's storage bag that he picked up that year, These two people looked much poorer. In addition to the magic tools they used, there were only some low-level spiritual objects of low value, and even a few common talismans. The total amount of spirit stones on the two of them was less than 100, which really disappointed Song Qingming, who was full of expectations before opening the storage bag. Chapter 78 Meeting Again. The two men had quite a few magical instruments, but most of them were relatively common ones, and they were of no use to Song Qingming. Song Qingming directly put these magical instruments and those messy spiritual objects into a storage bag, intending to find a time to slowly sell them for spiritual stones after returning to Guianfang. Only the black ore that Kitao used at the beginning and the green dagger that Zhao Tipao had been using had some special functions, so they were put into Song Qingming's storage bag. After dealing with these things, Song Qingming took out his black gold shield, carefully observed the magical instrument, and carefully removed the silver iron block stuck on it. As expected, after the silver iron block was removed, his spiritual consciousness instantly restored the connection with the black gold shield. He didn't know what this silver iron block was, but it had the strange effect of isolating the spiritual consciousness of the cultivators. Even though he had read a lot of classics in Guianfang, he couldn't figure out what material this thing was made of for a while. At that time, Zhao Tipao used this inconspicuous silver iron block to suddenly destroy the black gold shield in his hand, which surprised Song Qingming. Fortunately, he still had a top-grade defensive magic weapon, the Xianluo umbrella, otherwise he would have almost suffered a great loss. He carefully put this thing into the storage bag. This thing has some unexpected effects. If he keeps it on him and uses it to deal with those powerful magic weapons in the future, it will definitely have some unexpected effects. After carefully going around a big bend and spending 3 or 4 more days, Song Qingming finally returned to Guianfang smoothly. Song Qingming spent almost a month before and after going out this time. Most of the time he was tense on the road. It was not until he walked into Guianfang that he slowly relaxed. After returning to Guianfang, Song Qingming did not return to the Funiu garrison immediately, but came to a restaurant called Xianfang Lao in the market. Xianfang Lao restaurant mainly sells all kinds of delicious spiritual food. It has been opened in Guianfang for more than 100 years. It is also a well-known restaurant in Guianfang. Song Qingming has been in Guianfang for the past 2 years and occasionally comes here to have a bite. After ordering a few of his favorite spiritual food, Song Qingming spent some time trying to comfort his stomach. After entering Xianfang Lao, Song Qingming went directly to the second floor and found a private room by the window. Not long after he sat down, a young monk wearing Xianfang Lao's waiter came to Song Qingming's private room with a smile on his face. "Brother Song, I haven't seen you for a few months. I thought you went back to Qing County." After seeing the visitor, Song Qingming stood up and said with a smile, "Brother, I don't have such good fortune as you, brother Hu. It is a very luxurious thing for me to be able to stay with these delicious food every day and come here." The cultivator of Xianfang Tower is named Hu Daozhen. He was one of the people Song Qingming saved on the altar of the demon cultivators in the battle with the demon cultivators in the floating cloud mountains 2 years ago. Hu Daozhen also came to Guianfang a few years ago. His cultivation is not high, only the 4th level of Qi Refining. This person has a good spiritual cooking skill and has been in Xianfang Tower for more than 3 years. Since Song Qingming saved his life 2 years ago, the two have become good friends in Guianfang. It just so happens that Song Qingming is also a person who likes spiritual food. Since he met Hu Daozhen, he would come to Xianfang Tower every once in a while to indulge. "Brother Song, is it the same this time?" Song Qingming shook his head and said, "Please help me add a few more dishes, and then a pot of oolongjian. A few friends will come later. Don't be shy today, and bring out your best spiritual food. Don't worry, Brother Song, I'll take care of it. I will definitely not let you down." Hu Daozhen promised Song Qingming with a serious face, and then left the private room to arrange the wine and food. Xianfang Tower has always been very efficient. In less than a cup of tea, 7 or 8 delicious spiritual foods were delivered to Song Qingming's private room. As soon as the spiritual food and wine were in place, 2 people familiar to Song Qingming came into the private room. "Brother Song, it's great to see that you are safe and sound. My friend you and I have returned safely, but I haven't received any news from you, which makes me very worried. Fortunately, God blesses me and I finally see you today." The people who came were Shichun, who parted ways with him after the attack a few days ago, and Qin Yunyang, who had a somewhat delicate personality. When the two separated, Shi Chun also sent a message to Song Qingming, asking him to escape from the enemy and return to Qianfang to find him in the cave where he lived. On the way to Xianfang Tower, Song Qingming had already used some silver to hire a mortal guide in the market, and sent a message to Shi Chun, telling them to come here. Seeing Shi Chun, who was unharmed and full of rosy light, Song Qingming was not very surprised. Instead, he was a little surprised that the woman in black could escape from the robber boss. When Shi Chun heard Zhao Tipeo shouting that he wanted to avenge his spirit beast, he decisively chose to escape separately, which was most beneficial to him. Naturally, it was to increase his chances of getting away. This was definitely in line with his shrewd style. He would not put himself in danger for two ordinary friends. In Shi Chun's opinion, no matter whether the other party was going to chase Song Qingming or the black-clothed woman who killed the earth-splitting bear, his chance of escaping was naturally the greatest among the three. The reason why Song Qingming was targeted by Zhao Tipeo and Gitao was naturally for this reason, and Song Qingming was naturally clear about this. After Song Qingming invited Shi Chun and Qin Yuniang to sit down, he said, "Brother Shi, I am relieved to see that you are safe. The reason why I invited you to meet here is to borrow the delicious spiritual food from Xianfang Tower, to thank you for your help in the past. Please don't be polite, haha, I didn't expect that after not seeing you for a few years, Song Sen. You are much more generous than before. With such a big table of delicious food, I will not be polite to you, but it's a pity that Brother Zhang can't come. After a few years, Qin Yuniang's temperament is still so direct." Seeing a table of spiritual food and wine, her eyes are shining. Tishan just broke through the realm, and he needs some time to stabilize his cultivation. So he didn't come this time. Seeing Qin Yuniang mention Zhang Tishan who didn't come with him, Shi Chun quickly explained to Song Qingming. "Since it's unfortunate, let's make an appointment with Brother Zhang another day. Anyway, I live in Qianfang now, and there will be opportunities at any time." After saying that, Song Qingming poured 2 glasses of spiritual wine for Shi Chun and the others. After drinking a glass of spiritual wine, Shi Chun asked, "Brother Song, I saw 2 people chasing you that day, and I thought you were in danger. I don't know how you escaped later." Song Qingming smiled bitterly and said, "I was lucky to escape. Those 2 people kept chasing me that day, and I relied on a high-quality spiritual talisman bought from Bailong Mountain to get rid of them. It was because of this that I deviated from the direction of return, and returned to Qianfang a few days late." Chapter 79, Intermediate Spiritual Stone. After listening to Song Qingming's words, Shi Chun raised his wine glass and said slowly with a serious face, "Brother Song, after this time, we can be regarded as a lifelong friendship. If you encounter any troubles in Qianfang in the future, as long as we can help, you can come to my cave to find us." Song Qingming also raised the wine glass in his hand, drank a glass with Shi Chun, and then said, "Brother Shi, you know a lot of people in Qianfang. I need a medium-grade spirit stone recently. I wonder if you know where to exchange it." "Middle-grade spirit stone, Brother Song, are you trying to break through the late stage of Qi refining?" Shi Chun did not rush to answer, but looked at Song Qingming and asked with some doubts. The middle-grade spirit stone mentioned by Song Qingming is also a kind of spirit stone, but this kind of spirit stone contains much more spiritual energy than the low-grade spirit stones on Song Qingming. In the world of cultivating immortals, the value of a middle-grade spirit stone is about equal to 100 low-grade spirit stones. Ordinary Qi refining cultivators usually use low-grade spiritual stones for cultivation. Only cultivators above the golden core stage will directly use medium-grade spiritual stones for cultivation. Seeing that Song Qingming needed this kind of thing, Shi Chun quickly guessed that he needed medium-grade spiritual stones to break through the realm. The spiritual energy contained in medium-grade spiritual stones is more than 10 times that of low-grade spiritual stones, and the spiritual energy is more refined. Like the Qi gathering pill that Song Qingming used before, it is also an excellent spiritual object used to assist Qi refining cultivators to break through the bottleneck. Seeing that Shi Chun guessed his intention, Song Qingming smiled and nodded and continued, "That's true. After leaving Bailong Mountain, I found that it was difficult to improve my mana during cultivation. Now that I have returned to Qianfang and have time, I want to try to see if I can make further progress. I didn't expect that in less than 5 years, Brother Song has already gone ahead of me on his path," Shi Chun said with some envy. "Brother Song is about to break through to the late stage of Qi refining so soon. Are you also a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots?" Qin Yuniang asked curiously when she heard that Song Qingming wanted to exchange the mid-grade spirit stone for a breakthrough to the late stage of Qi Refining. Song Qingming shook his head and said modestly, "Don't tease me, it's not that easy to break through the late stage of Qi Refining. This is my first time trying to break through, and I estimate that there's a high probability that I cannot break through. I will be satisfied if I can loosen the bottleneck. Brother Song, don't be anxious since you are still so young. You have plenty of time to break through. I do know a few people who have mid-grade spirit stones, but Brother Song, one mid-grade spirit stone in Yianfeng requires about 110 spirit stones to be exchanged. You should know this. Don't worry, Brother Shi, I know all this. If you can help me exchange for a mid-grade spirit stone, please come to me directly at the Funiu base in Yianfeng. Although the value of a mid-grade spirit stone on the market is equal to that of 100 low-grade spirit stones, mid-grade spirit stones are much more useful than low-grade spirit stones. Qi refining cultivators can use them to break through, and foundation establishment cultivators can also restore their physical strength and magic power faster by using mid-grade spirit stones in battle. This also led to the fact that people who had medium-grade spirit stones would basically not take the initiative to exchange them for low-grade spirit stones, unless you were willing to exchange them at a premium. Even so, in places like Yianfang, there was still no market for them. The three of them chatted happily in Xianfang Tower for more than an hour, and only left reluctantly after they had enough wine and food. After leaving Xianfang Tower, Song Qingming went directly back to the Feiyan guard station. Su Ziyan and the others had not returned from the floating cloud mountains, so Song Qingming could only put the Qingyu pill in his own residence and give it to her after she came back. Unexpectedly, after the gathering at Xianfang Tower, only a few days later, Shi Chunzhan brought a medium-grade spirit stones to find Song Qingming, and brought him two at a time, which made Song Qingming very happy. Originally, Song Qingming was going to go to other places to inquire about the news of the medium-grade spirit stones in the next few days, but he didn't expect that the problem would be solved so quickly after the gathering with Shichun. Song Qingming used the 220 low-grade spirit stones on his body to exchange for the 2 medium-grade spirit stones. After getting the middle-grade spirit stone, Song Qingming, who wanted to relax for a while, had to start preparing to break through his cultivation realm. Breaking through from the 6th level of Qi Refining to the 7th level of Qi Refining is also a big bottleneck. It is naturally not so easy to break through. Song Qingming naturally has to prepare properly. In order to have a higher chance of successful breakthrough, Song Qingming also went to Qingming Mountain and spent more than a dozen spirit stones to rent a cave with more abundant spiritual energy. After using the Qingxin talisman to adjust his state, Song Qingming spent 3 days carefully dissolving the middle-grade spirit stone in his hand. With the extremely abundant spiritual energy in the spirit stone, Song Qingming began to try to break through the bottleneck in the meridians in his body. Unfortunately, after Song Qingming spent more than 10 days, consuming a middle-grade spirit stone and many other spiritual objects, he not only failed to successfully break through, but also almost hurt the meridians in his body. He had no choice but to end his retreat with a disappointed look on his face and walked out of the cave. Although he had been prepared in his heart, he knew that it was not so easy to break through the late stage of Qi Refining. Most cultivators could not succeed in breaking through the late stage of Qi Refining at once. However, Song Qingming prepared so thoroughly this time and spent so much time, but the spiritual energy gathered in Danshan during the breakthrough could not even rush into the meridians, let alone touch the bottleneck, which really made him a little disappointed. After the failure of this breakthrough, he would have to spend at least another half a year to polish the mana in his body before he could continue to use spiritual objects to break through. Fortunately, Song Qingming still had a medium-grade spiritual stone on him, so he didn't have to worry about the spiritual objects needed for the breakthrough for the time being. After leaving the rented cave, Song Qingming came to a shop in Yianfang, intending to sell some of his spiritual objects and exchange them for some spiritual stones. After going to Bailong Mountain and exchanging 2 medium-grade spiritual stones this time, Song Qingming had spent most of his spiritual stones. The failure of this breakthrough also made him realize that breaking through the late stage of Qi Refining was not that simple. In order to successfully break through his cultivation next time, he must make some preparations early. After discussing the value with the shop assistant, Song Qingming took out the magic tools he got from Zhao Tipeo and Gitao, as well as some of his spiritual talismans. There are 368 spiritual stones in total. I will give you 370 spiritual stones directly. Taoist friend, do you think this is feasible? A middle-aged female cultivator with a smile on her face asked the shop assistant to order all the spiritual objects Song Qingming brought out, and quoted a price that made Song Qingming very satisfied. Song Qingming, who was sitting on a chair, took a sip of the spiritual tea given by the shop, nodded and said calmly, "Then let's do as Taoist friend said. Give me 20 kilograms of spiritual rice in a bottle of nourishing pills, and exchange the rest for spiritual stones." Soon Song Qingming walked out of the shop with the spiritual stones and spiritual objects he had just exchanged, feeling very satisfied. After renting a cave in Qi Mountain, Song Qingming had moved all his things directly from the Feiyan guard station to the new cave. Taking advantage of the fact that there was no mission yet, and taking advantage of the abundant spiritual energy on Qi Mountain, Song Qingming hurriedly made some spiritual talismans and prepared to follow Feiyan guard to the floating cloud mountains next time. Not long after Song Qingming devoted himself to making talismans, Su Ziyan and their 11th team of Feiyan guards finally completed the mission and returned to Qi. Chapter 80 Qi Refining Level 7. However, Song Qingming, who was still working hard in the cave, learned the news that Su Ziyan had returned to Qi 2 days later. On this day, Song Qingming was just about to leave the cave, but he didn't expect Su Ziyan to come to him and block him in the cave. "Fellow Taoist Song head here, but it took me a while to find you. I thought I really had to go to Qing County to find you." For some reason, Su Ziyan, who was still dressed in red, looked a little more haggard than 2 months ago. "Captain Su, I'm glad to have fulfilled my mission. I successfully bought a Qingyu pill during this trip to Bloodline Mountain." After seeing Su Ziyan, Song Qingming quickly took out a Qingyu pill that he treasured in his storage bag and carefully handed it to Su Ziyan. This Qingyu pill had been on Song Qingming for more than a month. He had a spiritual pill worth 300 spiritual stones on him. Although it made his storage bag bulge for a while, it was not his own thing after all. After getting the green jade pill, he was still a little worried on the way from Bloodline Mountain to Qi. What if he lost the elixir? How would he report to Su Ziyan? Now that the elixir was in Su Ziyan's hands, Song Qingming finally breathed a sigh of relief, no longer having to worry about the elixir. As for the extra 10 spirit stones from the purchase of the elixir, he did not choose to return them to Su Ziyan. He risked his life and death to go to Bloodline Mountain, so it should be reasonable to charge him some hard work fee. After seeing the green jade pill, Su Ziyan's face lit up, and she did not ask Song Qingming how many spirit stones he spent. With a light touch of her hand, she put the green jade pill into the storage bag on her waist, and then bowed to Song Qingming. "No matter what, I still have to thank fellow Taoist Song for his hard work in getting this elixir successfully this time. I owe you a favor this time." Song Qingming quickly bowed and returned the greeting, saying, "Captain Su, you are too polite. This trip to Bloodline Mountain has also broadened my horizons. I dare not say that it was hard work." Su Ziyan smiled and nodded, then said, "Fellow Taoist Song, there is one thing I want to tell you in advance. Junior brother Lu's injury is almost healed. I will return the title of Captain of the 11th Guard to him. You don't have to call me Captain in the future." After hearing what Su Ziyan said, Song Qingming was stunned for a moment, and then said, "Fellow Taoist Su, are you going to prepare for a breakthrough in seclusion?" Su Ziyan forced a smile and said, "You are right. After this mission is over, I will return to the sect. Breaking through the foundation is extremely dangerous. I don't know if we will see each other again." Fellow Taoist Su has been practicing to the 9th level of Qi Refining for many years and his foundation is solid. Even if he cannot break through successfully, it cannot be very dangerous. "Why do you say that?" When Song Qingming heard Su Ziyan say that it was extremely dangerous for her to break through to the foundation establishment stage, he couldn't help but feel extremely confused and blurted out the answer. Su Ziyan shook her head and sighed. This time, the sect occasionally failed in refining the foundation establishment pill, and only refined a dozen pills. Although the master has tried his best to fight for me, my hope of getting the foundation establishment pill this time is very slim. But I have made up my mind. After returning to the sect, I will go into seclusion and never come down the mountain until I break through the foundation establishment realm. I see, even without the foundation establishment pill, fellow Taoist has already planned to risk his life to break through to the foundation establishment realm. Just for this reason, Song Qingming has great respect for you. Please accept my greeting." After speaking, Song Qingming bowed deeply to Su Ziyan. At this moment, Song Qingming also had sincere admiration for Su Ziyan, a woman who dared to forge ahead on the path of Taoism and put life and death aside. Song Daoyao's hospitality is really unacceptable to me. Ziyan has been practicing Taoism for more than 40 years. I dare not say how firm my Taoism is, but I am not a person who wastes time. Now that I have entered the immortal path, if I can't walk up to the clouds to see all the beautiful scenery in this world, what's the use of living for a few more decades from me? After Su Ziyan finished speaking, there was a bit more determination in her eyes. Then I would like to congratulate you here. The next time we meet, Song will call you senior. Then, the two exchanged a few more pleasantries and asked each other about their recent situation. Su Ziyan also swept away the haggard look before, and then generously exchanged a lot of her own experience in cultivation with Song Qingming, which benefited Song Qingming a lot and made him more confident about his next impact on the late stage of Qi refining. After Su Ziyan left Song Qingming, she left Yianfang a few days later and returned to the gate of Xiaoyao sect. Even many people in the 11 guards didn't know that her captain had left, and the captain of the 11 guards became Lu Yunfei again. It was not until half a year later that Song Qingming heard about Su Ziyan from a Xiaoyao sect cultivator again. This amazing woman who Song Qingming admired actually broke through to the foundation building realm after 3 months of seclusion, just as Song Qingming said that day. Cultivators like Su Ziyan who can successfully build a foundation without using the foundation building pill are also very rare in the world of immortal cultivation. After all, there is only one lucky cultivator who successfully builds a foundation without using the foundation building pill. Most of those who choose to break through are either seriously injured and their paths are ruined, or they have already died. There are more than 300 foundation building cultivators in the entire Xiaoyao sect, and no more than 20% of them have not used the foundation building pill to build their foundation. After these people have built their foundations, they are all cultivators with extremely firm minds without exception. Their path will be brighter than those cultivators who have used the foundation building pill, and their chances of cultivating to higher realm will also be greater. After hearing the news of Su Ziyan's successful foundation building, Song Qingming was also very excited. After recovering his state, he soon chose to retreat and break through the late stage of Qi refining again. However, his luck seemed to be not so good recently. After losing a medium-grade spirit stone this time, he failed to break through again. Fortunately, he was not discouraged. In the following time, in addition to following Funiu Mountain to go out for training, he continued to ask around for news about a medium-grade spirit stone after returning to Yianfang. A year later, on Qi Mountain, Song Qingming sat in his cave, and a stream of rich spiritual energy continued to flow from several meridians in his body into his danshan, and then slowly emerged from several other meridians. After continuously polishing the spiritual energy for 5 days, the pure spiritual energy in Song Qingming's danshan had become very saturated. Seeing that the spiritual energy in his body had been polished very perfectly, Song Qingming finally made up his mind and melted the medium-grade spirit stone that had been prepared in his hand. After the meridians in his body trembled for a while, with this extremely pure and powerful spiritual power, Song Qingming finally broke through the bottleneck of Qi refining level 7, which had troubled him for several years, during his third breakthrough, and successfully raised his own cultivation to the late stage of Qi refining. After breaking through his cultivation, Song Qingming couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He didn't expect that he would have to break through the bottleneck of the late stage of Qi refining again and again. He was really unsure about himself in the next stage of foundation building. In the past 2 years in Yianfang, Song Qingming, in addition to going out to perform Funiu Mountain tasks, was asking around for medium-grade spirit stones. In the end, it was Shichun who helped him find a medium-grade spirit stone again, so he had a third chance and successfully broke through to the late stage of Qi refining. Chapter 81 The Wanderer Returns Home. After breaking through his cultivation, Song Qingming melted more than a dozen low-level spirit stones at once, and used this spiritual energy to slowly stabilize his cultivation. It was not until 5 days later that Song Qingming completely stabilized his cultivation at the 7th level of Qi training. Then he ended his more than half a month of seclusion and walked out of his cave. Standing 1,000 feet high on Qi Mountain, Song Qingming looked at the small market below the mountain, which was as small as stars. Song Qingming's thoughts were surging like a sea of clouds. Since he went down the mountain to guard Lingyuan Mountain at the age of 20, it has only been 10 years. Song Qingming has gone from a confused cultivator who had just broken through the 4th level of Qi training to a mature cultivator in the late stage of Qi training. When the cultivation reaches the late stage of Qi training, the cultivator's spiritual consciousness can be released outside the body. Song Qingming closed his eyes and used his spiritual consciousness to explore the surroundings. He found that he could sense every blade of grass and every tree within a radius of 10 feet from him with his spiritual consciousness. After releasing the spiritual consciousness, the cultivator can more easily sense the opponent's moves in advance during the battle. This is also the biggest reason why the fighting ability of the cultivators in the late stage of Qi refining is much stronger than that of the cultivators in the middle stage of Qi refining. Half an hour later, Song Qingming put away his thoughts, slowly walked down Qi Mountain and came to the Funiu guard station in the market. In the station, the Xiaoyao sect cultivator who was on duty saw that Song Qingming had successfully broken through his cultivation level, and said with some envy, "Congratulations, Brother Song, you finally broke through your cultivation level during this retreat, but you came at an unfortunate time this time. The 11th guard received the mission and set off a few days ago. Do you want to wait or should I introduce you to other guards for the time being?" In order to break through this retreat, Song Qingming had already asked for leave from the Funiu guard early, and this was the 3rd time in the past 2 years. Song Qingming shook his head and replied, "Don't worry, fellow Taoist Li. I'm going to leave Jianfang for a while. This time I want to temporarily resign from the Funiu guard. Please help me handle the handover. When Captain Lu comes back, please tell him." Hearing that Song Qingming was going to resign from the Funiu guard, the Xiaoyao sect's on-duty cultivator hurriedly persuaded him. In recent years, Funiu guard has been short of manpower. The departure of every Funiu guard cultivator is a headache for them. This time I'm leaving because when I left home, I made an appointment with my family to return. Now that the agreed date is almost here, I'm really afraid that I will be late and make my family worry. Seeing that Song Qingming had made up his mind to leave, the man didn't continue to persuade him to stay. He quickly helped Song Qingming exchange all his remaining merits for spirit stones and handed them to him. After leaving Funiu, Song Qingming went to Xianfang Tower again, ordered a banquet, invited Shi Chun and the other 2 to come here, and said goodbye to them. Song Qingming has been in Jianfang for so many years, and he has not made many friends. Shi Chun and the other 2 have helped him when he needed help the most, and Song Qingming always remembers this in his heart. Shi Chun's cultivation has also improved rapidly in recent years, and he is not far from the late stage of Qi refining. After Zhang Tishan broke through 2 years ago, his cultivation has also reached the 8th level of Qi refining. Only Qin Yuniang seems to be not very interested in cultivation, and his cultivation is still only the 4th level of Qi refining. Although Hu Daozhen of Xianfang Tower has an average talent for cultivation, he has earned a lot of cultivation resources by relying on his spiritual cooking skill. He was born as a casual cultivator, but he has cultivated to the 5th level of Qi refining before he is 30 years old. He is not slower than the cultivators from the small families of the Song family in Funiu. Several people gathered in Xianfang Tower from day to late at night. When they were about to part, Song Qingming suddenly said to Shi Chun and the other 2, "Fellow Daoists, I have forgotten to explain one thing to you. Actually, my name is not Song San. I am Song Qingming, a family cultivator. If you want to find me in the future, you can come to Funiu in Qing County to find me." After hearing Song Qingming's words, Shi Chun and the others did not show much surprise on their faces. Just as Song Qingming expected, they were all casual cultivators who had been in the market for many years, and they were not surprised by cultivators like Song Qingming who did not use their real names. Qin Yuniang smiled and said, "In fact, we have long known that you can't be called Song San, such an ordinary name, but Brother Song, you can tell us frankly, which means you really treat us as friends. Song San is also my name before I practiced Taoism. It is indeed very ordinary." After saying goodbye to Shi Chun and the others, Song Qingming packed up his luggage and left Jianfang early the next morning. Before the retreat, Song Qingming had already decided that as long as he successfully broke through to the late stage of Qi refining, he would return to Qing County immediately. After nearly 4 years of training outside, Song Qingming failed to find accurate information about the foundation building pill, but his cultivation level broke through to the late stage of Qi refining, which was also a goal he had set in his mind. In the past few years in Funiu, both his fighting ability and his mentality when facing danger have grown a lot. Compared with 4 years ago, he can be said to have undergone a very obvious transformation. After leaving Gianfang, Song Qingming used the wind technique he had just learned, and his body turned into a breeze, jumping quickly among the mountains, rivers and forests. After reaching the late stage of Qi refining, his speed of traveling was much faster than before. After using his magic power to reduce his own weight, he could also run quickly on the slender branches of the tree, as if gliding in the air. Just when Song Qingming rushed back to Qing County, on the Funiu Mountain in Qing County, the Song family's eldest elder Song Gubei, who looked worried, was discussing a major event concerning the future fate of the Song family with the patriarch Song Gushan. Clan leader, we can't let kings go to Xiaoyao sect. He is the person with the highest cultivation talent in our Song family in the past few decades. And he is also the hope for the future prosperity of the family. Song Gushan looked at the elder who had worked hard for the Song family with him for decades. After a long time, he nodded, and said with some embarrassment, "Third brother, I know what you said. You also know that the candidate we chose in advance this time was Qingming, but now Kings has taken the initiative to say that he wants to go to Xiaoyao sect. He came to me and asked, and he has made up his mind. How can I forcibly stop him? After all, this matter is related to his path. Qingming is still young, and we don't know whether her future path will be smooth. At present, Kings is the only one of the Qing generation who can take on the responsibility. If he goes to Xiaoyao sect, once Changfang and others are gone, the family cultivators will be in a lack of successors. I am afraid that they will decline immediately, and it will be difficult to escape the fate of being swallowed up by other surrounding family forces." Song Gubei sighed unwillingly and continued. Song Gushan smiled bitterly and said, "Don't be too discouraged. The family has experienced so many setbacks and hardships in the past 200 years, and we have survived it all. Kings chose to take the initiative to propose to join Xiaoyao sect, which shows that in his heart, the development of the family is far less important than his own path. To be honest, with him like this, can you rest assured if the family is really handed over to him in the future? Since he chose to go to Xiaoyao sect, I thought about it and decided to let him go. If we force him to stay, it is inevitable that he will have a grudge against the family in the future, which may not be a good thing for the family. It's just that the journey to Xiaoyao sect is long and difficult, and his future can only depend on himself. The family has done its best for him over the years. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Patriarch Summons. When Song Qingming left Qing County, he stopped and walked for a month before reaching Gianfang. This time when he returned to Qing County, Song Qingming did not waste too much time. He galloped all the way for less than half a month and successfully entered Qing County. In a few years, Qing County has not changed much, but when Song Qingming left Qing County, it was already spring, with beautiful colors everywhere, birds singing and flowers blooming. Now it is late autumn when he returns. The mountain has long been a withered and yellow scenery. Along the way, the autumn wind brought fallen leaves to the ground. Looking down from a high place, it looks like a piece of golden carpet, spreading on the trails in the mountains. After entering Qing County, Song Qingming speeded up his speed again, and returned to the Funiu Mountain he missed so much in less than 2 days. Looking at the extremely familiar mountain in front of him, Song Qingming suddenly forgot the hardships of his continuous journey for more than 10 days, and walked quickly to the mountain gate in 2 or 3 steps. After seeing the 2 cultivators who were on duty here today, Song Qingming suddenly showed a trace of surprise on his face. The person in front of him seemed familiar, but for a moment, he didn't dare to confirm it. "Hello, 7th brother, you are Qingming. I didn't expect that you have grown up so much after not seeing you for a few years. I'm really sorry that I almost didn't recognize you just now." The timid little girl who had been carried on his back to Mount Lingyuan has now become a heroic fairy. Looking at the graceful Song Qingming in front of him, Song Qingming couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's true that girls change a lot when they grow up. Song Qingming has been practicing for less than 10 years, and her cultivation has smoothly reached the 5th level of Qi refining. In contrast, Song Qingming was still struggling at the 3rd level of Qi refining when she was her age. The qualifications of 3 spiritual roots are really enviable. Although Song Qingming's cultivation method is relatively ordinary, and her fighting ability is far inferior to that of her third brother Song King's. Her cultivation progress is not much slower than Song King's. As long as there are no other unexpected situations, she has a great chance to cultivate to the 9th level of Qi Refining before the age of 60. 7th brother, this is Xiao Shisi. You haven't seen her yet, right? She went up the mountain after you left. She has always wanted to meet you, the great hero who dared to go to the floating cloud mountains alone, right? Xiao Qingxi, seeing that Song Qingming had recognized her, Song Qingyu quickly pushed a 12 or 13-year-old girl beside her in front of her and introduced her to him with a smile. Song Qingxi found out that her spiritual roots were sent to Funiu a year after Song Qingming went to Gianfang. She is ranked 14th in the Qing generation. In the 4 years since Song Qingming left, the Song family has added 2 more cultivators, and there are now 15 cultivators in the Qing generation. After Song Qingxi went up the mountain, she became very close to Song Qingyu, who was a few years older than her. In addition to daily practice, she often followed Song Qingyu around the mountain. Originally, it was only Song Qingyu who was on duty today. The reason why Song Qingxi appeared here was just because she liked to stay with Song Qingyu. The two happened to be the first to see Song Qingming, who had just returned. Every cultivator who went up the mountain needs at least a few years to get used to life in the mountains, and slowly transition from a child playing in the fields between the mountains to a cultivator who can face the boring life of cultivation alone for a long time. When Song Qingming went up the mountain, facing such boring practice all day, he was also very uncomfortable at first. Whenever he had time, he would sneak out of the cave to chat with his eldest brother Song Qingxi. Seeing the 7th brother who he often heard from Song Qingyu, Song Qingxi was also very curious about Song Qingming, the more legendary among the younger generation. His 2 eyes were very shy and stared at Song Qingming up and down, and he didn't dare to speak. Don't talk nonsense. When did I become a hero? Don't praise me to the sky when I'm not in the mountain. Seeing the admiration in Song Qingxi's eyes, Song Qingming knew without guessing that this must be the result of Song Qingyu's indoctrination. He couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed. After Song Qingming was in danger in the floating cloud mountains last time, he not only escaped from the 2nd level monster's nest alone, but also had a strange encounter in the dangerous floating cloud mountains, which greatly improved his cultivation. His adventure in the floating cloud mountains soon spread among the Qing generation cultivators of the Song family. Especially in the past few years, he chose to go out alone to train, which has gradually made him a more legendary figure among the Qing generation. Even he himself didn't know that his current popularity among the Qing generation of the Song family is second only to his third brother Song King's. Just like when Song Qingming and other Qing generation monks all had some respect for Uncle Nine Song Changxin, who dared to go to Funiu Mountain alone for training, these younger monks all had a little admiration in their hearts for monks like them, who dared to go out of the family to venture and train. Song Qingming did not stay at the mountain gate for long. After chatting with Song Qingyu for a few words, Song Qingming quickly left here and went directly to Funiu Mountain. When they parted, Song Qingming also specially gave each of them a spiritual fruit he brought from Gianfang, which also made Song Qingyu and the others smile and look at him with more admiration. After arriving at the mountain, Song Qingming first went to the family's gold storage pavilion and said hello to the fourth elder. Soon many Song family monks on Funiu Mountain learned about his return. Not long after Song Qingming returned to his cave, he immediately received a summons from the clan leader Song Gushan, asking Song Qingming to go to his cave to meet him. Song Gushan's cave is located at the top of the mountain behind Funiu Mountain. It is also the place with the most abundant spiritual energy in the entire Funiu Mountain. The caves of the two late-stage Qi refining cultivators, the Great Elder and the Second Elder, are also located nearby. Song Qingming passed through the meeting hall and the martial arts field in the middle of the top of Funiu Mountain and came directly to the back of the mountain. After walking a few miles upward, he came to a bamboo forest. This bamboo forest is also a first-level spiritual wood planted by the family. After maturity, it can be used to refine some first-level magic tools. Every year, a part of the mature spiritual bamboo will be sent to the family store in Qinghefeng for sale, which is also an income for the family. After passing through the bamboo forest, Song Qingming saw a mountain wall surrounded by white clouds and mist in front of him. After stopping, Song Qingming took out a sound transmission talisman from the storage bag. After playing a few spells, the talisman quickly flew into the clouds. Soon, A vibration sound came from the white clouds and mist, and then the clouds and mist quickly dissipated, revealing a cave built of blue bricks. Qingming, come in first, the patriarch's amiable voice came from the cave. After hearing it, Song Qingming hurriedly walked in. It was the first time for Song Qingming to come to the old patriarch's cave. The cave was very simply decorated. There were no other extra items except for a few tables and chairs. The old patriarch seemed to be a little older than he was 4 years ago. He was sitting on a cushion in the cave. Qingming greets the patriarch. After seeing the old patriarch, Song Qingming bowed his head and bowed. When Song Gushan saw Song Qingming, a trace of surprise suddenly flashed across his face. After a pause, he asked, Qingming, have you broken through the 7th level of Qi training? Chapter 83 Meeting. Song Qingming had not learned the advanced art of concealing his breath, so his cultivation level could not be hidden from the old patriarch Song Gushan, a master at the peak of the 9th level of Qi Refining. I just succeeded in breaking through last month, and it was a bit of luck, Song Qingming replied modestly. Hearing Song Qingming confirm his cultivation level, Song Gushan's face slowly showed a hint of joy, and then he said, after you left, we haven't received any news from you in the mountain in the past few years. Everyone is a little worried about you. Today, seeing you come back safely, I can finally let go of my heart. Hearing the sincere words of concern from the old patriarch, Song Qingming hurriedly bowed his head and said, Qingming thanks the patriarch for his concern. Then Song Gushan asked Song Qingming about his training outside in the past few years. Song Qingming did not hide anything, including telling him everything about his experience in Funiu Mountain in the past few years. When Song Qingming talked about the battle with the demon cultivators in the floating cloud mountains after he joined the Funiu Guard, Song Gushan, an old cultivator who had been practicing for nearly 100 years, was also a little frightened. It was not easy for Song Qingming to survive in such a dangerous battlefield. Half an hour later, Song Qingming finally finished talking about all his experiences in the past few years. The old patriarch Song Gushan also took the opportunity to guide his practice. Seeing that it was getting late, Song Qingming didn't want to stay here and disturb the old patriarch's practice. Seeing that the old patriarch had no other instructions, he stood up and said goodbye and returned to his cave. The moon was already in the sky, and Song Qingming, who was practicing in the cave, suddenly received another sound transmission note. Song Qingming opened the talisman and saw that his face, which had just been disturbed and was a little depressed, changed instantly. A smile slowly appeared at the corner of his mouth. He ended his practice and quickly stood up and left the cave. In the moon-watching pavilion in a corner of Funiu Mountain, Song Qingming, his eldest brother Song Qingshi, and his fourth brother Song Qingru each held a glass of spiritual wine and chatted happily about Song Qingming's experiences in recent years. Song Qingming has been close to these two brothers since he was a child. When they were in Funiu Mountain, they often drank and talked together, joking about their lives. After the fourth brother Song Qingru drank a glass of spiritual wine, he said to Song Qingming after 2 tisk-tisk sounds, "Seventh brother, you brought this pot of golden flower spiritual dew from Guianfang. It tastes really good. It is much better than the spiritual wine sent to the mountain by the fourth uncle. Fortunately, the 13th uncle is still in seclusion. If you were here, there would probably be only a few sips left of this pot, and it would all go into his mouth." The 13th uncle Song Changshan is also a person who likes spiritual wine. The three brothers Song Qingming like to drink in exchange cups, which is all brought by him as an elder. Song Qingming smiled and said, "It's okay, let's drink without worry. I still have a pot on me. When Uncle 13 comes out of retreat, we can get together and celebrate for him. I don't know if Uncle 13 can break through to the late stage of Qi refining during his retreat this time. If he fails, Qingming, you should not go to Uncle 13 for now." After hearing their conversation, Song Qingshi, the most thoughtful eldest brother among the three, spoke up to remind Song Qingming appropriately. Song Qingming nodded and immediately understood Song Qingshi's intentions. "Seventh brother, I didn't expect that you have broken through to the 7th level of Qi refining in just a few years. Fourth brother is really happy for you. We, the Qing generation, will rely on you to take the lead in the future." After Song Qingru drank a few glasses of spiritual wine, he began to open his heart in his words. Song Qingming shook his head and said, "Fourth brother, you must have drunk too much. My cultivation is just a fluke. With a third brother here, how can it be my turn to take the lead?" Unexpectedly, as soon as Song Qingming said this, Song Qingshi and Song Qingru, who were smiling just now, suddenly froze and put down their wine glasses. Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, Song Qingming's face was instantly filled with doubts. He didn't know which sentence he had just said wrong. Seventh brother, you may not know that your third brother has decided to join the Xiaoyao sect. It is estimated that he will leave Funiu Mountain in 1 or 2 months at most. Just now, we heard you say that the clan leader summoned you today, and we thought you already knew about this. The eldest brother Song Qingshi, seeing that Song Qingming seemed to be unaware of this, hurriedly explained a few words, which solved the doubts in Song Qingming's heart. Seventh brother, he will no longer be your third brother in the future. We have wasted all these years of respect for him. People like him only care about their own path and never have us brothers in their eyes, Song Qingru said with some indignation in his heart. Song Qingshi sighed and said, Old 4, Qingming has just come back, so you should say less. Besides, even the clan leader has agreed to this matter. This is King's own choice. No matter what you say, it can't change this matter. The third brother Song Kings was going to join Xiaoyao sect. Hearing this shocking news suddenly, even Song Qingming, who was already very calm, showed a look of surprise. Since Song Qingming was sent to Funiu, the third brother Song Kings has always been a role model for cultivators of their generation, and the family elders have always cultivated him as the future clan leader. For more than 20 years, the resources invested by the Song family in him are far beyond what Song Qingming and other brothers can compare. Whether it is the cultivation method or the resources needed for breakthrough, they are all prepared for him very well. The family's generous support allowed Song Kings to cultivate to the late stage of Qi refining at a young age. His path has been very smooth for so many years. The family spared no effort to train him, but he suddenly decided to join Xiaoyao sect. It was no wonder that Song Qingru, who always took Song Kings as an example, suddenly changed his attitude towards him. Although Song Qingming was upset, he thought about it and didn't say anything. He just picked up the wine glass in his hand and asked the two brothers to continue drinking. Song Qingshi also quickly changed the topic. The three of them waited until the sun rose before returning to their own caves. A few days later, Song Qingming heard the news that his 13th uncle had come out of retreat. It was a pity that although his 13th uncle had a stable foundation, he didn't have a spiritual object like a medium-grade spirit stone to assist in the breakthrough, so he failed to break through this time. Song Qingming was also afraid that his 13th uncle would be embarrassed after seeing his cultivation, so he didn't choose to disturb him now. Just 10 days after returning to Funiu, Song Qingming once again received a message from the fourth elder, asking him to go to the family meeting room. Song Qingming hurriedly walked out of the cave. As soon as he entered the meeting room, Song Qingming saw the old clan leader and the fourth elder sitting in the meeting room. He thought that only the fourth elder wanted to talk to him, but he didn't expect the clan leader to be here too. For this reason, Song Qingming was a little puzzled. Several elders will come here to discuss matters in a while. You have already broken through the late stage of Qi refining and are qualified to discuss matters of the clan. You might as well stay here and listen first. Seeing that Song Qingming was the first to arrive here, Song Gushan waved to him and pointed to a chair not far from him, indicating that Song Qingming should sit down first. Seeing this, Song Qingming didn't think much about it and walked over and sat on the chair that Song Gushan pointed to. Not long after, the second elder Song Changfeng and the third elder Song Yuan also came to the meeting room. What surprised Song Qingming was that his ninth uncle Song Changsen, who rarely participated in family affairs, also came here this time. Chapter 84, New Family Elder. The last one to arrive was the elder Song Gubei. When Song Qingming saw Song Gubei, he was so surprised that he almost stood up from his chair. Compared with 4 years ago, the elder of the Song family looked much older. His hair and beard had turned gray, and wrinkles covered his forehead. Normal cultivators would never look so old unless they were nearing the end of their lifespan. This elder who had worked hard for the Song family for many years was already approaching the end of his life. Song Gubei's lifespan was running out. Song Qingming calculated in his mind that he was already 112 years old this year. Looking at the elder's current state, he was afraid that he could no longer fight with others easily. For an elderly cultivator with a short lifespan, his blood and essence had already been severely depleted. Using his magic power at will would affect his remaining lifespan. In Song Gubei's current state, it is estimated that he can only last for 3 to 5 years at most. If he consumes his own vitality, he will very likely die early. Seeing that the old man who had taught him since childhood had been eroded by time, Song Qingming felt a little sad. Although these low-level Qi refining cultivators are immortals in the mouths of ordinary people, if they cannot build a foundation and go further, they will eventually turn into a handful of yellow soil. The elder Song Gubei recently found that his essence and blood began to decline rapidly, and he also knew that his lifespan was not much longer. In recent months, he has not walked around and has been conditioning his body in his own cave. Except for the clan leader Song Gushan, other cultivators on the mountain do not know his current state. After entering the door, seeing that everyone looked at him with unusual eyes, Song Gubei smiled and said loudly, "Everyone, I'm really sorry, I'm a little late. Grand Elder, please take a seat quickly." The second elder Song Changfang hurried forward and helped the elder to his seat. Although Song Qingming and others in the meeting room had changes on their faces, they did not ask. The lifespan of the elder was not a secret in the Song family. Those who have practiced for many years naturally knew it very well. If they cannot establish a foundation and attain enlightenment, they will have to face this day sooner or later. There is really no need to feel sorry for the world. If everyone keeps expressing their concern, it will only make the elder even more sad. After the elder sat down, the clan leader Song Gushan said directly, "There are two important things that I need to discuss with you for calling everyone here this time. The first thing is that Kings has decided to join the Xiaoyao sect. Some of you may already know this, but I still want to say one more thing. Kings is from our Song family after all. Even if he joins the Xiaoyao sect in the future, he is still a member of our Song family. Don't have too many prejudices against him." After hearing this, except for Song Qingming and the ninth uncle Song Changsan, the faces of several Song family elders at the scene were not very good. After all, a person they had carefully cultivated for decades suddenly chose to leave the family on his own initiative. Naturally, they would not feel good. The ninth uncle Song Changsan rarely participated in family affairs and did not care much about this matter. Song Qingming was somewhat puzzled by his third brother Song King's initiative to join the Xiaoyao sect, but he also understood his choice. After all, Song King's talent far exceeded that of his peers. If he stayed in a small family like the Song family, his chances of building a foundation in the future would definitely be very small. After choosing to join the Xiaoyao sect as an inner disciple, it would be completely different. With his talent, he would definitely be able to successfully cultivate to the 9th level of Qi refining within 10 years, and he would also have a great chance to get a foundation building pill in the Xiaoyao sect every 10 years. These large and small immortal cultivation families under the Xiaoyao sect would have the opportunity to select people to join the Xiaoyao sect directly. After entering the Xiaoyao sect, these people would directly become inner disciples of the Xiaoyao sect, and their chances of building a foundation would be much greater than those of outer disciples. On one side was the people who cultivated him, and on the other side was his own path. How to choose? If it were Song Qingming, he would find it difficult to make a decision all of a sudden. However, since Song King's had chosen his own path, even if he faced accusations from his people in the future, it would naturally be what he should bear. Seeing that no one had spoken, Song Guke continued to talk about the next thing. The second thing is that there will be some changes in the elders of the family. As everyone knows, the elder is a little old and is not suitable for working hard in the mountains all the time. From now on, the elder will no longer participate in family affairs. I have discussed with the elder that Changfang will take over his work in the future, and Changxin will take care of the family law enforcement and monster hunting for the time being. In addition, Qingming has broken through the late stage of Qi refining. According to the family rules, I want him to start serving as the elder of the family from today. Do you have any objections? After exchanging glances on this matter, everyone nodded and agreed to the arrangement of the patriarch. In fact, when they saw Song Qingming sitting here at the beginning, they had roughly guessed the intention of the patriarch. Only Song Qingming, the person involved, did not expect that the patriarch would let him serve as the elder of the family so soon, and he was a little panicked. In fact, Song Gushan had no choice but to make such an arrangement. A few months ago, after the elder Song Gubei told him about his physical condition, Song Gushan originally wanted to arrange Song Changfang to take over the position of the elder and let Song King's become the elder to replace Song Changfang. However, Song King's suddenly proposed to join Xiaoyao sect, which disrupted the original plan of the clan leader Song Gushan. Song Gushan and the great elder Song Gubei were of the same generation, and he was only 10 years younger than him, and his lifespan was nearly 100 years old. Originally, Song Gushan planned to let the second elder Song Changfeng take over as the clan leader after his death, and Song Kings, like Song Changfeng, would first serve as an elder to hone his skills and then succeed as the clan leader in the future. Now that the great elder can no longer manage things, Song Kings wants to join Xiaoyao sect again, which suddenly gave Song Gushan, the clan leader, a headache. Fortunately, Song Qingming returned to the clan leader at this time, and his cultivation level broke through the late stage of Qi refining, which finally comforted Song Gushan. Seeing that Song Qingming seemed to be hesitant to talk, Song Gushan said to him with a smile, "Qingming, you don't have to feel too much pressure. How about this, you just came back, and we won't arrange your specific matters for the time being. The family has rented another shop in Qinghefang, and your fourth uncle is too busy alone. You can go there first to help the clan take care of it. I will write a letter to Changqiu and ask him to fully cooperate with you." The great elder Song Gubei also said, "The patriarch has thought carefully about letting you serve as the family elder this time. All of us will grow old eventually, and there is no other suitable person among the younger generation who can serve as an elder. Only you are more knowledgeable, so I can only trouble you for now. Don't worry, patriarch. Qingming will work hard and live up to the family's trust." Hearing the old patriarch and the great elder's words full of love, Song Qingming nodded heavily and agreed, with a hint of determination in his eyes. After the great elder retired, the clan had a new elder, Song Qingming. With a little training, he might become the next great elder. Even if Song Kings left, the Song family would not be in a period of transition. The other elders had already sensed that the clan leader intended to let Song Qingming take on important responsibilities in the future. Chapter 85 Return to Qinghefang. After receiving the family's instructions, Song Qingming packed up his luggage and went down the mountain without delay, ready to go to Qinghefang to take over the family business there. Before leaving, Song Qingming also specially returned to his home in Mujiao town to report safety to his parents and family. After not returning home for 4 years, Song Qingming's parents have aged a lot. Seeing that the two elders are still strong, Song Qingming also put down a trace of worry in his heart. On the second day after returning home, his mother specially called Song Qingming's second sister's family, and the family had a reunion dinner in peace. Song Qingming's second sister has been married for more than 10 years. The brother-in-law she found is a bit dull. He's a well-known teacher in the town. After getting married, the two are quite affectionate and have given birth to 3 children. Song Qingming's brother-in-law's family also had an immortal 3 generations ago, but that elder has already passed away. Now the family has slowly declined and can no longer compare to the prosperous Song family. As for the Song family, as long as the immortal Song Qingming does not have any accidents, he will definitely be able to ensure that their family will live in peace in Mujiao town until old age. The second sister had a hot temper when she was young. When she first got married, she was very arrogant in her husband's family because her mother's family was powerful. Every time she went home, she was scolded by her mother. Now her temper has been restrained a lot. The fourth brother's family has not made the two elders worry in recent years. The fourth brother has a virtual sister-in-law, but he is still not satisfied. He must learn from those rich children to take in 2 concubines. Until now, the family is always in the mansion, quarreling non-stop. Mother is still alive and can help him calm the situation. Who knows how chaotic it will be in the future. Song Qingming is not often in the secular family, and he is too lazy to care about such trivial matters. As long as they don't touch his bottom line, he will not blame them. After staying at home for a few days, Song Qingming locked his small house again, said goodbye to his parents, and went to Qinghefang in the west of Qing County. After a day of rushing, Song Qingming finally arrived at Qinghefang. After registering his identity at the gate, Song Qingming quickly walked into the market. Because he had been training outside for the past few years, Song Qingming had not been to Qinghefang for almost 5 years. Looking at the bustling scene of people coming and going in the market, Song Qingming was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that Qinghefang would suddenly become more prosperous than before after he hadn't been there for a few years. No wonder when he just arrived at the gate of the market, he saw more guards than before. He came to the Song family store in the market with ease. From a distance, Song Qingming saw his fourth uncle Song Changqiu and several shop assistants busying around. The prosperity in the market seemed to have made the Song family's small shop much busier. "Qingming, you're back. Please go to the back hall and sit for a while. I'll come over as soon as I'm done with my work." The fourth uncle was recommending the talismans in the store to a young casual cultivator. When he saw Song Qingming coming in, he quickly called Immortal waiter next to him to lead Song Qingming to the guest room in the back hall. Song Qingming had just finished drinking half a cup of tea in the room when Song Changqiu had already sent away the guest. He pushed the door open with a smile on his face and walked in. "Qingming, when did you come back? Why didn't anyone tell me? How have you been doing outside these years? You didn't even send a message home. I wonder if the clan leaders are always worried about you. Did the great elder send you here this time?" As soon as he entered the room, Song Changqiu asked Song Qingming a series of questions, which made him not know which question to answer first, and his mind was a little busy. "Uncle, don't worry. You will know after reading this." After saying that, Song Qingming simply handed the letter from the clan leader to Song Changqiu. The answers he wanted were basically in this letter. After reading the letter in his hand, Song Changqiu still couldn't believe his eyes. After confirming it again and again, he spoke with some excitement. "Uncle, I really didn't expect that you, Qingming, have already broken through to the late stage of Qi refining. This is really great. I knew that you had more prospects than the rest of us, and you will definitely be no worse than old Nine in the future. I didn't expect you to catch up with him so soon. From now on, I will have to call you Elder." Song Qingming quickly shook his head and said modestly, "Uncle, don't say that. I was sent here by the clan leader to gain experience. For the time being, you are still the main person in charge of the store. Seeing that you are so happy just now, I guess you have made another big deal." "Haha, it's not a big deal at all. They are all casual cultivators who have just entered the Tao for a short time and have a few spirit stones on them. These people would whine with you for a long time for a piece of spirit stone. Fortunately, there are a lot more people in Qinghofeng in the past few years, and our business is also much better, so it seems a little busier than before. I heard from the clan leader that you rented another shop here. Is it also nearby?" Song Qingming nodded and asked again. "It's right next to our shop. It was originally run by two independent cultivators. Some time ago, they had a disagreement and put the shop up for sale. I thought it was okay, so I discussed it with the clan and bought it." Song Changqiu pointed to the next door and said. Then Song Changqiu talked to Song Qingming about the situation in the market, and Song Qingming slowly understood the current situation in Qinghofeng. In recent years, there have been rumors that the monsters from the northern border are about to attack. Many independent cultivators who have been in the floating cloud mountains have begun to stay away from the markets adjacent to the floating cloud mountains in Guianfang. However, most of these cultivators who choose to escape immediately when they hear the slightest movement are independent cultivators with relatively low cultivation. Even when facing those low-level monsters, they don't have much ability to protect themselves, so they can only choose to stay away temporarily. There are also many such independent cultivators in Qinghofeng all of a sudden. The monster turmoil in the northern border usually lasts for several years. The monster turmoil has not started yet, and the prosperity of Qinghofeng can last at least 10 years. Song Changqiu saw the business opportunity in this area early, so he took the initiative to suggest that the family buy the shop next door. After the shop reopened, fourth aunt was in charge for the time being. Song Changqiu reclassified some of the sundries in the original Song family shop and put them in the new shop. This old shop now specializes in selling talismans and elixirs, two kinds of spiritual objects with relatively large circulation in the market, and also purchases them. Qingming, the shop next door just opened not long ago, and there are many things to do. Tomorrow I will go to help your aunt, and I will trouble you, the elder, to help take care of this place. There is not enough manpower during this period, so I also hired a casual cultivator to help. The boy has been with me for a few months and is familiar with the spiritual objects in the shop. He is also an honest person. You can rest assured to leave the chores in the shop to him." Song Qingming had no opinion on Song Changqiu's arrangement. After all, he was a newcomer and was not familiar with the affairs of the shop. For the time being, he could only watch from the side and help out. If he wanted to manage these shops well, he would need a few months to familiarize himself with the big and small matters in the shop. The old patriarch arranged for him to come to Qinghofeng this time. In addition to letting him get familiar with the family's industry in this area, he also wanted him to have the opportunity to contact other family cultivators in Qing County and get familiar with the various forces in Qing County. Chapter 86 Chen Lao Dao. After Song Qingming came to Qinghofeng, he was busy for another half a year. During this time, Song Qingming patiently learned the way of store management and was already very familiar with the business in the Song family's store. During the years of training in Guianfang, Song Qingming read a lot of various classics in the world of immortal cultivation in the Guianfang Merit Pavilion, including many books introducing various spiritual objects, which also helped him a lot in learning to run a store here. Now, Song Qingming has basically handed over all the affairs of the store to Wang Cheng and several mortal clerks of the Song family. Only when they encounter those difficult customers or spiritual objects that they cannot identify, will they ask Song Qingming to come out and make a decision. Wang Cheng is a casual cultivator hired by the fourth uncle in Qinghefang. He is about the same age as Song Qingming, but the difference in their cultivation is a bit far. Song Qingming is already a cultivator in the late stage of Qi Refining, while his cultivation is only the fourth level of Qi Refining. As Song Chengqiu said, Wang Cheng is a more honest person. Like the fourth ant, he is also a cultivator from Qinghefang. Song Chengqiu hired him mainly because he was born in a clean family and there are many people living in Qinghefang around him. If you rashly hire those casual cultivators from other places to manage the store, you will inevitably be afraid of some desperate people who are tempted by money. After all, people's hearts are separated by their stomachs. Whether it is a cultivator or an ordinary mortal, it is difficult to judge whether a person is good or bad in a short time. Song Qingming now basically spends most of her time in the back hall of the store. In addition to practicing, she also has a lot of free time to make talismans to earn spiritual stones. The store that Song Qingming is responsible for managing usually purchases various low-level spiritual objects and talisman materials. It is not difficult to collect these low-level materials in the market. After arriving here, Song Qingming used his skills as a talisman maker and has drawn a lot of talismans on his body in more than half a year. He put all these talismans directly in the Song family shop for sale. Qinghefang was full of some low-level independent cultivators. The middle and low-grade talismans made by Song Qingming were very popular here. In his spare time, he also used the materials received from the shop to make several sets of formations and placed them in the shop, attracting many independent cultivators. One day, Song Qingming was meditating with his eyes closed in the back hall. A mortal clerk of the Song family in the shop came to his door in a hurry. The clerk raised his hand and was about to knock on the door, but the door suddenly opened from the inside. Song Qingming ignored the clerk's surprised look and asked softly, "Why did you come to see me? It's a guest who brought a special spiritual object." "Master Wang didn't recognize it, so I asked you to come over and take a look." Song Qingming didn't say anything, just nodded lightly and walked in front. His cultivation has now broken through to the late stage of Qi Refining. When he meditates and cultivates, his spiritual consciousness is projected 10 feet away, and he can easily sense the movements in most places in the store. When the clerk came to find him just now, he was already sensed by his spiritual consciousness 10 feet away from his door, so he appeared at the door in advance. Song Qingming just walked to the front hall of the store and saw several cultivators in the store checking the sale of spiritual objects. Following the guidance of the clerk, Song Qingming saw at once that there was an old man with a long beard and yellow clothes standing next to Wang Cheng not far away. The old man's cultivation was not low and he had reached the late stage of Qi Refining. Wang Cheng held a green spiritual medicine in his right hand and was talking to the old man in yellow about the spiritual medicine in his hand. Song Qingming, who was about to walk over, suddenly stopped and looked at the old man in yellow carefully. He turned around and retreated to the back hall. The waiter Song who had been following him was confused when he saw Song Qingming suddenly return. He didn't know what happened, but he didn't dare to ask. He could only follow Song Qingming back to the back hall. "Go and talk to Wang Cheng, and ask him to take the guest to the side room in the back hall first and treat him well. I'll be there soon." After returning to the back hall, Song Qingming whispered to the waiter behind him and asked him to go and inform Wang Cheng. Then he showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth and took out a set of battle flags from his storage bag. After a while, Wang Cheng brought the old man in yellow to the back hall. After asking the old man to sit down in the side room, he asked the waiter next to him to serve tea. "Old senior, our boss will be here soon. You can talk to him directly about the following matters. I will leave first. You can talk slowly." After saying that, Wang Cheng smiled and left. The old man in yellow had just picked up the tea and sipped it carefully. Soon, he saw a young man in green pushing the door and entering. He quickly put down the teacup in his hand and stood up. "This old senior, I am Song Qingming, the manager of this shop. Song Qingming walked into the room and first introduced himself, then bowed to the old man in yellow. When the old man in yellow saw Song Qingming, his face suddenly changed, and then he pretended to be calm and asked, "Thank you for your courtesy, Taoist friend. My surname is Chen. I think you look familiar. I wonder if you have met me before. It's not easy for Senior Chen to still remember me. 10 years ago, in Qing County, you encountered the robbers of Yingchao Ridge outside. Senior, do you still remember?" Song Qingming knocked on the table lightly and said slowly. The old man in yellow sitting next to Song Qingming was the old Taoist priest that Song Qingming met on the way back to Funiu Mountain from Funiu Mountain 10 years ago. Back then, Taoist Chen was being chased by robbers and happened to meet Song Qingming, who had just come down the mountain. Later, they dragged Song Qingming in and almost killed him in Funiu Mountain. Song Qingming did not have such a bad memory as Taoist Chen. For the past 10 years, Song Qingming had never forgotten this old Taoist priest who had almost been killed by him. Just now, when Song Qingming walked into the front hall of the store, he immediately recognized Taoist Chen, so he specially asked Wang Cheng to take him to the side room in the back hall. When Taoist Chen heard Song Qingming talking about the incident 10 years ago, he immediately recognized Song Qingming and looked at him in surprise and said, You are the young friend Song from that day. I thought you had met with disaster. I didn't expect to see you again. Not only did you escape from danger, but your cultivation level also improved so quickly. You are truly a person favored by heaven. Taoist Chen was in prison that day, and he was able to escape because of me diverting some of his energy. If I hadn't used a top-grade life-saving talisman given by an elder, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the chance to see you again today. After Song Qingming finished speaking, he smiled and filled Taoist Chen's cup of tea. Back then, I was trapped in a difficult situation. I had no choice but to ask for help from you in order to survive. Later, I was lucky to escape. Every time I think of what happened that day, I feel guilty. Today, I can see you again, Song, and I can say that I have fulfilled my wish. Taoist Chen touched his beard and smiled awkwardly. Then he took out a top-grade talisman from his body, put it on the table reluctantly, and continued to speak to Song Qingming. Since I wasted a top-grade talisman for you back then, and today God has allowed you and me to meet again. I guess he wants me to make up for this talisman for you. I hope you don't mind. Chapter 87, Fingyin Soul Forging Technique. Song Qingming waved at Chen Liaodao, and did not take the valuable talisman from his hand. Instead, he took out a small blue flag from his storage bag. After casting a spell on the flag in his hand, the blue flag flashed and flew quickly to the door of the room. Then the whole room was suddenly wrapped in a translucent white light, forming a formation in an instant, isolating the sounds inside and outside the house. Seeing this, a trace of anger suddenly emerged on Taoist Chen's face. He stood up and shouted at Song Qingming, "What do you mean, sir? Even if I was a little sorry to you that day, it was not intentional. Do you want to kill people and steal treasures in the market today, Alice, Senior Chen? Please don't misunderstand. Although I was dragged down by you and almost died in the mountains back then, I am not an unreasonable person. Naturally, I know that it is not mainly your fault. Senior Chen, don't worry, I am definitely not the kind of person who is petty. This is just a magic circle I refined. It can only isolate sound and spiritual consciousness and has no other function. Please rest assured." After listening to this, Taoist Chen slowly sat down again, but now he has not completely let down his guard against Song Qingming, and one hand is still on the storage bag on his waist. After Taoist Chen sat down, Song Qingming continued, "Fellow Taoist, you came here this time to sell me a second-level green sandalwood grass, right?" Just before Song Qingming entered the door, he had learned from Wang Cheng that Taoist Chen came here to sell a second-level spiritual medicine. It was only because Wang Cheng didn't know much about second-level spiritual medicines that he asked Song Qingming to come over to confirm. "Yes, I want to use this pearl spiritual grass to exchange for some elixirs. I have already found 2 stores, but no one recognizes it. I didn't expect that little friend Song could recognize it." Hearing that Song Qingming mentioned the spiritual grass he had just taken out in the front hall, and really wanted to discuss business with him, Taoist Chen slowly let down his guard and took out the pearl spiritual grass on his body. Song Qingming took the pearl green sandalwood grass and looked at it carefully, then said, "King Hofeng is a small market after all, and there are rarely any spiritual objects above level 2. It is understandable that others did not recognize this level 2 spiritual grass at once. This pearl spiritual grass is already 200 years old, and it is indeed a level 2 spiritual grass. According to the price of level 2 spiritual medicine purchased in Qinghefang, this pearl green sandalwood grass is worth 100 spiritual stones. If you think this price is okay, you can take this pearl spiritual grass in the store. If you need any spiritual medicine, you can also look in the store. After saying that, Song Qingming took out a bag of spiritual stones and put it on the table between the two of them. Taoist Chen took the bag and looked at it. Seeing the 100 spiritual stones shining with golden light in the bag, he happily put it away. Song Xiaoyao is indeed a straightforward person. Then it's settled. If there is nothing else, I will go outside to see if there is any elixir I need. Taoist Chen just stood up and wanted to leave here, but Song Qingming stretched out his hand to stop him again. Please wait a moment, old senior. I still have a business deal I want to discuss with you. But before that, there is one more thing I want to ask you. Taoist Chen stopped and said with a smile, young friend Song, please go ahead. After reaching the first deal, Taoist Chen's attitude was much better than before. When I first met you, I was hiding in a big tree more than 10 feet away from you. I was confident that I didn't reveal any obvious flaws. You hadn't yet broken through to the late stage of Qi refining at that time. I wonder how you found me. After listening to this, Taoist Chen narrowed his eyes and thought about it in his mind, then smiled and replied, actually, it's not worth mentioning. It's because by chance, I practiced a technique that can strengthen the spiritual consciousness of cultivators. My spiritual consciousness is slightly higher than that of ordinary cultivators of the same level. That's how I discovered you in advance and found your hiding place. Oh, I see. I happen to have been looking for a technique that can strengthen the spiritual consciousness in the past few years. I wonder if you can sell this technique to me. When Taoist Chen found his hiding place, although Song Qingming was a little puzzled, he couldn't figure it out until he went to Guianfang and came into contact with the art of puppetry. Then he remembered that there were some techniques in the world of immortal cultivation that could strengthen the spiritual consciousness of cultivators. Slowly he guessed why the old man found his hiding place that year. The reason why he asked about this just now was to confirm his guess. Sure enough, this old man had really practiced spiritual consciousness techniques as he thought. Can I ask first why you want to practice this kind of technique? Chen Liudao was a little surprised to hear that Song Qingming was interested in this kind of technique, and asked cautiously. Spiritual consciousness techniques are not easy to practice, and after practicing, they only have some auxiliary effects in fighting, and are of no use to the cultivators to improve their own cultivation. The reason why Chen Liudao practiced this technique is that at this age, there is not much room for improvement in his cultivation, so he has time to study this technique. It is indeed a bit strange that a young cultivator like Song Qingming wants to practice spiritual consciousness techniques. Song Qingming seemed to have expected Chen Liudao to ask this question, and raise his hand to release the thunder tiger puppet beast on his body. So you want to strengthen your puppetry skills? No wonder you want to practice spiritual consciousness. Seeing this puppet beast, Chen Liudao, who has practiced for many years, quickly understood it, showing an expression of I see and nodded to Song Qingming with a smile. I was lucky enough to get a puppet beast a few years ago. After the sacrifice, I found that my spiritual consciousness was not enough. I couldn't control this puppet beast for a long time in battle. That's why I want to find a spiritual consciousness method for myself. After Song Qingming finished speaking, he put the puppet beast away again. Taoist Chen stroked his long beard a little, and slowly said, the technique in my hand is called Wind Abyss Soul Forging Technique, but it is an incomplete technique. I found it with someone in a cave of a senior cultivator. Taoist friend is also a person who is destined to be with me. If you don't mind, then take it. I don't need spirit stones. Just give me 2 more bottles of medium-grade elixirs to improve my cultivation. Then Taoist Chen took out a jade slip from his storage bag and handed it to Song Qingming. Song Qingming took the jade slip and put it on his forehead. His consciousness quickly entered the jade slip. This technique was a little incomplete as Taoist Chen said. It seemed that there was only the first part of the technique, but it was enough for him to practice now. He didn't want to specialize in this kind of consciousness technique. As long as it could be used barely, so that he could exert the full power of the puppet beast in his hand, it would be fine. After checking that the technique that Chen Liudao had brought out was correct, Song Qingming put away the jade slip, then removed the formation in the room, and called a waiter to fetch 2 bottles of pills for Chen Liudao. The reason why Song Qingming wasted time setting up this formation just now was of course not to deal with Chen Liudao, but just because he didn't want too many people to know that he was going to practice the spiritual consciousness technique, and to deter Chen Liudao a little, so as to smoothly negotiate the next deal. Song Xiaoyao, this technique is a little incomplete, Taoist friends, you still need to practice it carefully, and don't be too eager for quick success. Here are some of the old Taoists' experience when practicing, and give them to Taoist friends. Chen Liudao put away the pills with satisfaction, and handed Song Qingming a handwritten note, and reminded him before leaving. After Song Qingming put away the handwritten note, he bowed to Chen Liudao to express his gratitude, and finally personally sent him out the door, telling him that if he had any spiritual objects in the future, he could bring them directly here to find him, and he would guarantee that he would not suffer any loss. Chapter 88, Training the Soul. After seeing off Taoist Chen, Song Qingming told Wen Cheng not to let anyone disturb him, and then happily returned to his own residence behind the shop. The yard where he lived was next to his 4th uncle's family. He walked through the back hall, turned a corner, and walked a few dozen steps forward and soon arrived. The 4th uncle had been here for decades and had already taken root. In addition to mortal clerks and servants, the whole family also had several children. The yard was noisy all day long. After arriving at the residence and closing the door, Song Qingming carefully arranged a soundproof ban at the door, and soon a noise from next door disappeared in his ears. The ban is actually a simplified formation. It is relatively simple to arrange, and the effect will of course be greatly reduced. It can only play a part of the role of the formation. Recently, in order to have a quieter time when practicing, Song Qingming has spent some time studying the way of formation. Not only did he use the materials collected from the store to make several sets of formations, but his own formation ban level has also improved a lot. The restriction that Song Qingming had just set up at the door was actually the soundproof formation that he had just used in the shop. He had successfully refined it a few months ago. This soundproof restriction can completely isolate sounds within a certain range. After using the formation flags to set up the formation, it can also isolate the consciousness of the cultivators in the Qi refining stage. After setting up this set of restrictions, Song Qingming felt much more at ease when practicing. Not only could it isolate external noise, but the various sounds coming from his room would not be heard by people outside. As long as he did not encounter a foundation-building cultivator, it would be difficult for anyone to spy on what was happening in his room. Sitting cross-legged in his own practice room, Song Qingming was impatient to open the jade slip of the practice he had just obtained. Since he got the Thunder Tiger puppet beast, Song Qingming had been in Jianfeng for a few years and had gone to many shops to inquire, but he had not been able to find this kind of spiritual consciousness practice. The cultivators he knew, such as Lu Yunfei, who had practiced this kind of practice, could not pass on the practice to outsiders due to the restrictions of the sect. Unexpectedly, Song Qingming had been looking for the technique outside for several years but failed to find it. After returning to Qing County, Chen Liudao, who had not seen him for 10 years, came to him by accident and gave him the technique he had been looking for. It was really unpredictable. However, Song Qingming paid a considerable price to get this technique. 2 bottles of elixir plus the top-grade talisman that Chen Liudao was going to give him cost him more than 100 spiritual stones. Sometimes, spiritual stones are really hard to spend. I worked hard for several months to save 100 spiritual stones, but it only took half a day to spend them. After spending most of the day, Song Qingming carefully read this technique several times. After reading it, Song Qingming slowly discovered that the difficulty of practicing the spiritual consciousness technique was much higher than he had imagined, and practicing this technique was very dangerous, which could easily cause damage to the cultivator's soul. The soul is as important to the cultivator as the elixir field. One is to store the mana in the body, and the other is to entrust the cultivator's consciousness. Once a cultivator's soul is injured, it is difficult to recover quickly. If the injury is too serious and causes damage to the cultivator's soul or sea of consciousness, the lightest is to lose part of the memory, and the worst is to turn a person into an idiot. This Fingant soul forging technique is a relatively clever soul forging technique. The core idea of the technique is that the cultivator attaches his soul to a special instrument or spiritual object that can store the soul every day, forcibly pulls out the soul in his body, and constantly forges the soul with the spiritual energy between heaven and earth, so as to achieve the effect of strengthening the soul and improving the consciousness. Once the cultivator's soul leaves the brain sea of consciousness for a long time, it is very easy to be damaged in the outside world. This is indeed a very dangerous thing for the cultivator who is practicing this technique for the first time. Knowing that practicing this technique is more dangerous, Song Qingming did not rush for success, and spent a lot of time to comprehend and understand this technique. Then he found a medium-grade instrument called the soul-gathering bottle in the market, and carefully began to take his soul out of his body step by step. After the soul left the sea of consciousness and went outside the body, Song Qingming suddenly felt a chill and piercing pain in his brain. This was also the pain that he had to go through to practice this technique. Although Song Qingming had been prepared, he still underestimated the pain that stimulated the soul and almost failed to stabilize his mana. Fortunately, he had practiced for many years. He gritted his teeth and quickly called on the mana in his body to wrap the soul-gathering bottle, reducing the pain of the soul contacting the outside world. With his own strong willpower, he survived. 5 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, he practiced hard every day. It took almost 3 months before and after, and Song Qingming finally felt some changes in his consciousness brought by this technique. Although he practiced a little slowly, Song Qingming did not lose heart. After several months of hard practice, he finally got into this technique and survived the most dangerous step. It is not so easy to practice the spiritual consciousness type of skills. No wonder there are few cultivators in the world of immortal cultivation who practice this type of skills. The pain and danger they have to go through have already discouraged many cultivators. In addition, the effect of Qi refining cultivators after practicing is also very limited. It is not surprising that this type of skills is rare. Song Qingming has to thank Chen Liudao for the practice experience of this skill. During his practice in the past few months, Chen Liudao's practice experience helped him avoid many detours. This old man has average cultivation aptitude, but he is indeed much better than Song Qingming in comprehending skills. No wonder he dares to take the initiative to practice such a dangerous spiritual consciousness skill. Song Qingming still admires him very much. Next, Song Qingming slowly speeded up his practice of this skill. After 3 years of hard practice, Song Qingming finally successfully completed the practice of this skill. Now Song Qingming's spiritual consciousness can be projected more than 20 feet away, completely covering the entire Song family shop, which is about twice as powerful as before. The improvement of spiritual consciousness has also greatly improved Song Qingming's ability to control the puppet beast. Now he can control the Thunder Tiger puppet beast more easily than before. The power of the puppet beast in his hand is now almost comparable to that of an ordinary 6th level Qi refining cultivator. This Fingent soul forging technique is just a spiritual consciousness technique for the Qi refining period, and this technique is not complete. Song Qingming doesn't know whether the predecessor who created this technique has not yet completed it, or the subsequent techniques have been scattered to other places. In the past few years, Chen Liudao has been hanging around King Hufeng and often comes to the Song family shop. Song Qingming took the opportunity to ask him if he had any subsequent techniques. Chen Liudao said frankly that he really only got this part of the technique and did not hide it from Song Qingming. Song Qingming had also intentionally tested Chen Liudao's consciousness and found that his consciousness was indeed similar to that of his own cultivation method. It can be seen that he did not cultivate this method to a higher level, and he should not have any subsequent cultivation methods. Just a few days after Song Qingming completed the Fingent soul forging technique, his fourth uncle Song Changqiu came to the shop in a hurry to find him. "Qingming, I just received a message from the clan that the Great Elder asked you to go back. It seems a bit urgent. You should pack up quickly. I will watch over here for you." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, The Great Elder Passes Away. Okay, I'll leave in a moment. Fourth uncle, I'll trouble you here first. When Song Qingming heard that the elder was anxious to find him, he immediately had a bad feeling in his heart. Since the elder resigned from his position a few years ago, he has been living in his own cave in the back mountain, and rarely takes the initiative to go out. Calculating the time, the elder's lifespan is almost over. Song Qingming went back to Funiu Mountain half a year ago and heard the news that the elder had fallen ill. At that time, he already knew that the elder's lifespan would not last long. After the cultivator draws Qi into the body, he absorbs the spiritual energy between heaven and earth to temper the body all year round. It is impossible for a normal cultivator to get sick as easily as an ordinary person. The reason why the elder fell ill is that he has reached a moment when his lifespan is insufficient and his Qi and blood are declining. His own vitality has been severely damaged, so he will be invaded by the disease and linger on the sickbed. After a simple handover with his fourth uncle, Song Qingming hurriedly left Qinghefang. Qinghefang is only a few hundred miles away from the Song family. With Song Qingming's best efforts, he returned to Funiu in less than 2 days. Although Song Qingming has been in Qinghefang for a long time in the past few years, he still needs to go back to Funiu every few months to transport various spiritual objects. Most of the low-level materials received in the market are transported back to the Funiu family's gold storage pavilion and handed over to the fourth elder, and then some finished spiritual objects are transported from the gold storage pavilion to Qinghefang for sale. The two shops in Qinghefang are a very important industry of the family. In recent years, the efficiency of the shops and the market has improved a lot, and the spiritual stones that can be earned by the family every year are more than the black iron veins in Lingyuan Mountain. When Song Qingming arrived at Funiu, he suddenly saw a lot of white sails hanging on the mountain road. He thought to himself that it was not good. He hurried but still arrived a step late. After going up the mountain, Song Qingming walked directly to the cave of the great elder behind the mountain. At this moment, there were many people surrounding this place. In addition to the family monks who received the news, there were also many direct descendants of the great elder at the foot of the mountain. These people, whether they were monks or mortals, all wore white plain clothes, and from time to time there were bursts of sad cries. The elder had married and had children in his early years, but his wife and children were ordinary mortals, and they had long since exhausted their lifespans and passed away. Those who came here were all his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and their relationship with the elder was not very close. "Qingming, you are back, come in quickly, the clan leader is also inside." The fourth elder Song Guke was directing the funeral arrangements for the elder on the spot. As an elder in charge of the family's general affairs, he was already very busy at the moment. Seeing that Song Qingming had finally returned, he quickly called him to go in and pay homage to the elder's body first. After entering the elder's cave, Song Qingming saw that the elder was lying peacefully on the bed in the cave. Although his face looked old, his expression was very peaceful, and it seemed that he passed away very peacefully. "I saw him in good spirits a few days ago, and he insisted on seeing you. I didn't expect that the old guy left without even saying hello. I didn't even know about it until the next day, when the clan leader Song Gushan saw Song Qingming coming in. He spoke to him, and there was some resentment in his tone for the elders leaving without saying goodbye. He couldn't help but shed a few more tears. Since the old clan leader took over as the head of the Song family more than 40 years ago, the elder has always been his right-hand man in managing the family. The two have supported each other for decades, and their feelings are naturally deeper than others. The Song family has only been in Qing County for 200 years. When their generation of cultivators just went up the mountain, the family's foundation was still shallow, and the nearby families excluded them. There were scattered cultivators around, and the cultivation environment was much more difficult than it is now. It was precisely because of the hard work of several generations of cultivators that the Song family now has a relatively stable cultivation environment. It was also the first time that Song Qingming saw the old clan leader, who had always been strong, reveal the most vulnerable side of his heart, and he was also very shocked. He hesitated for a moment, but still did not speak. He walked to the bed of the great elder and lit a stick of incense. He knelt down and kowtowed several times respectfully. Then he inserted the incense into the incense burner in front of the bed, bowed to the old patriarch, and quietly left the cave, leaving the little piece at the moment to the two old men inside. As the patriarch said, the great elder passed away very suddenly. He wanted to see Song Qingming the day before, but he didn't expect that he couldn't wake up after falling asleep that night. It was his servant who came to take care of him who discovered his abnormality and hurriedly notified the patriarch. Song Qingming didn't know why the great elder suddenly wanted to see him before he passed away. He just felt that the great elder might have something very important to entrust to him. It was a pity that he still couldn't wait for Song Qingming to come back. The Song family has been established for 200 years. There are not many people who can live like the great elder and pass away peacefully. Most people fail in various disasters. The Great Elder can live until his life is exhausted and leave peacefully in his sleep. It is also a blessing for him. The funeral of the Great Elder was very grand. Not only did all the cultivators of the Song family rush back to Funiu Mountain, but also the nearby mortal cultivation families that were friendly with the Song family sent their own cultivators to pay their respects. Even the main family of the Song family, the Wang family, sent people to come. Funiu Mountain was bustling for 4 or 5 days, and it was not until the funeral of the Great Elder that it slowly quieted down. Unexpectedly, not long after the Song family had just quieted down, a special person came to the mountain, causing a ripple on the already calm surface. The third brother Song Kings, who had already joined the Zioao sect, traveled thousands of miles back to Funiu Mountain to pay homage to the deceased Great Elder. Like Song Qingming, Song Kings also came back a little late. It's just that he missed the last meeting with the Great Elder, and Song Kings missed the funeral of the Great Elder. It takes thousands of miles to go back to Qing County from the Zioao sect mountain gate. It was not easy for Song Kings to come back this time. Judging from the time, he should have hurriedly set off as soon as he received the news of the death of the elder. However, he, who abandoned his family, is not well received in Funiu Mountain. In particular, the elder had high hopes for him, and the old patriarch had spent all his efforts to train him over the years. To be honest, Song Kings' choice to leave Funiu Mountain was a great blow to the elder. Even when Song Kings left the mountain, the elder did not come out to see him off. Now that the elder has passed away, the monks of the Song family are a little resentful when they see Song Kings, who makes the elder very sad, and they are unwilling to tell him the grave of the elder. In the end, it was the second uncle Song Changwu and the 12th aunt Song Changayan, who have a more simple character, who pointed him in a direction, and Song Kings found the grave of the elder. The tomb of the Great Elder was chosen at the foot of Funiu Mountain, where there are birds singing and flowers blooming. The scenery is quite beautiful, and it is not too far from Yujao town, which is also convenient for his descendants to worship. After Song Kings paid homage in front of the tomb, he opened a jar of spiritual wine, poured a glass for the Great Elder, and sat alone in front of the tombstone of the Great Elder. It was not until the sun was about to come out the next day that Song Kings got up and left here silently. Song Kings walked slowly down the mountain, but he didn't expect that two people appeared on the road and stopped him. They were Song Qingming and his eldest brother Song Qingshi, who had been waiting here for a long time. Big brother, Qingming, after seeing the two, Song Kings squeezed out a rare smile. Third brother, you finally came back, and you are so anxious to leave. Don't you want to go back home to visit? Song King smiled bitterly and said, it's rare that you still call me third brother. My parents passed away a few years ago. I don't have many ties anymore. Going back will only increase my sadness. Chapter 90, New and Old Replacement. Seeing that Song Kings was somewhat discouraged, Song Qingshi quickly spoke to comfort him. Kings, don't be too discouraged. Qingming and I are here to see you off. The clan leader specifically told us to do so. The Great Elder just left, and everyone is very sad. You have to understand. After listening to this, Song Kings nodded thoughtfully, with a look of relief on his face. The eldest brother Song Qingshi is the most kind-hearted among the young monks. He has a good relationship with every Qing generation monk on the mountain, including Song Kings. Originally, the old clan leader wanted Song Qingming to come and see him off alone, but Song Qingming didn't talk much with Song Kings since he was a child, and the relationship between the two has always been ordinary, so he brought Song Qingshi here with him. The three of them walked and talked all the way, and sent Song Kings to a place more than 10 miles outside Funiu Mountain before stopping. Song Kings bowed and saluted to the two of them, saying, Qingming, big brother, please stop here. Thank you for coming to see me off. Don't forget to say hello to the old patriarch for me when you go back. Third brother, it's not like home outside. You should take care of yourself. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, don't forget to send a letter home. Although we brothers are of low cultivation and can't help much, we can at least give you a hand. Song Kings looked at the two with red eyes, lowered his head and said, Big brother, you should also take care of yourself. If there's a chance, I will definitely come back to see you. The mountains are high and the road is long. See you later. After saying goodbye to the two, Song Kings strode forward, used the magic of walking, and soon disappeared from the eyes of the two. After joining the Zioao sect, Song Kings was outstanding because of his own talent. Soon, He was accepted as a close disciple by a foundation-building cultivator in the sect. He had lived quite well in the Xiaoyao sect in the past few years, and his cultivation had reached the 8th level of Qi Refining. It was estimated that in another 5 or 6 years, he would have to prepare for foundation building. He didn't know when he would be able to return to Funiu Mountain. The Song family would have a quota for an inner disciple of the Xiaoyao sect every 30 years or so, but to go to the Xiaoyao sect, one must have at least 3 spiritual roots. This time, the family was going to send King Gayu to the Xiaoyao sect, but Song Kings took the initiative to ask the clan leader for help, and finally he was replaced. When Song Kings went to the Xiaoyao sect, he was considered a member of the Xiaoyao sect unless there was a mission. The Qi Refining disciples could not leave the sect at will. If they wanted to come back, they had to ask for leave from the sect. In addition to him, the Song family also had a senior monk who was sent to the Xiaoyao sect decades ago. However, this uncle had average talent. Although he had reached the late stage of Qi Refining, he was too old and would probably not be able to build a foundation in this life. Although these inner disciples were treated well after entering the Xiaoyao sect, unlike ordinary outer disciples, they had to complete a bunch of sect chores every day before they had a little time to practice. The reason why a family of immortal cultivators like the Song family sent people with outstanding spiritual roots to the Xiaoyao sect was because they would have a greater chance of building a foundation in the Xiaoyao sect. The main reason why Song Kings chose to take the initiative to join the Xiaoyao sect was for a foundation building pill that was out of reach for these low-level cultivators. Once a cultivator in the family successfully built a foundation in the Xiaoyao sect, the family would have a bridge to talk to in the Xiaoyao sect in the future, and it would be easier to get resources from the Xiaoyao sect to feed back to the family. The 4 major foundation-building families in Qing County all have foundation-building monks in Xiaoyao sect. The Wang family alone has 2 foundation-building monks in Xiaoyao sect. His ancestors also produced a golden elixir monk in Xiaoyao sect. His relationship in Xiaoyao sect far exceeds that of other families. Every few decades, he can exchange a foundation-building pill from Xiaoyao sect. It is precisely because of the powerful backing in Xiaoyao sect that the Wang family has been able to dominate Qing County for 1,000 years. After seeing off his third brother Song Kings, Song Qingming, who returned to Funiu Mountain, went directly to the back mountain and prepared to say goodbye to the patriarch and return to King Hofang. After sending a voice transmission outside, Song Qingming was soon allowed to enter the patriarch's cave. The old patriarch sat on a rattan chair with a kind face, and there was a little boy of 7 or 8 years old standing beside him respectfully. Song Gushan has been practicing Taoism for 100 years. He has always been a hard-working monk who is devoted to Taoism. He has not married and had children to leave descendants, and his direct relatives have long turned into a handful of yellow earth. After entering the Tao, most monks generally do not choose to get married in order to concentrate on cultivation. Only some monks like the 4th uncle who have low spiritual roots, no hope for the Tao, and do not like to cultivate, will choose to marry and have children early, enjoying the life that mortals yearn for. There are not too many such monks in the world of immortal cultivation. Seeing a chubby child in the old patriarch's cave, Song Qingming also showed a trace of surprise on his face, and looked at this person with curiosity. After bowing to the old patriarch, Song Qingming slowly spoke out his idea of returning to King Hofang as soon as possible. When Song Gushan heard that he was going back to King Hofang, he immediately agreed to it. After all, he had been back for half a month, and it was easy for problems to occur if no one was watching King Hofang. After Song Gushan finished speaking, he saw that Song Qingming was about to leave, and stretched out his hand to stop him again. Qingming, this is Xinhu, the great-grandson of the Great Elder. He was just found out last month that he has spiritual roots and has been included in the family tree. It happened that the Great Elder passed away and the family was busy with many affairs, so I didn't inform you in time. Seeing some confusion on Song Qingming's face, the old patriarch pointed at the child beside him and explained to Song Qingming. This child is the great-grandson of the Great Elder. Could it be? Although Song Qingming had thought that he should be the child who had just come up the mountain, he really didn't guess that he was actually the direct descendant of the Great Elder. Could it be that the Great Elder hurriedly called him back because of this child? Song Qingming vaguely guessed something that he hadn't figured out a few days ago. Seeing Song Qingming looking at him closely with a look of surprise, the child named Song Xinhu leaned towards the old patriarch with some fear. The Great Elder was anxious to find you back because of Xinhu. He wanted you to take care of the child, but he didn't expect that he would leave before you arrived. Seeing that Song Qingming had already thought of the answer, Song Guoshan slowly spoke to confirm his guess. Don't worry, Patriarch, Qingming knows. We all grew up under the wings of our elders. Without the protection of the Great Elder and you over the years, I wouldn't be where I am today. Since Song Qingming came to Funiu Mountain, the Great Elder has become his mentor, teaching him the way of cultivation step by step. Next, it is Song Qingming's turn to lead the next generation of cultivators. For 200 years, the Song family cultivators have been passed down from generation to generation. Song Guoshan nodded with satisfaction, and then said, I will take care of this child first. He is also the first cultivator of the new generation. The family will depend on you in the future. The Song family sets up a new generation every 30 years or so. Among them, there are only 3 people left in the ancient generation after the Great Elder passed away. There are a total of 14 cultivators in the long generation. Not counting the 7th uncle who went to Zioao sect, there are still 10 left. There are a total of 16 Qing generation cultivators in Song Qingming's generation. Excluding the 3rd brother Song King's, there are still 15 people. Counting Song Xinhu, who just came to the mountain, the new generation, the Song family has almost 30 cultivators in total. Chapter 91 Senior Cave. After introducing Song Xinhu, the old patriarch did not try to keep Song Qingming. 2 days later, Song Qingming took some spiritual objects from the 4th elder of the Tibetan Gold Pavilion and returned to King Hefeng again. As soon as he returned to the Song family shop, before Song Qingming had time to hand over the things he brought from Funiu Mountain, his 4th uncle Song Changqiu pulled him aside and said to him mysteriously, Qingming, you are finally back. An old Taoist priest has been looking for you for a few days. I heard from Wang Cheng that he has some friendship with you. This guy has been asking you when you will be back every day these days. I guess he has something urgent to find you. I asked him but he refused to tell me. He only left me an address and asked you to go find him when you come back. After saying that, the 4th uncle took out a white cloth from the drawer behind the counter and handed it to Song Qingming. Old Taoist priest, I have some friendship with him. Song Qingming took the cloth and opened it. As expected, it was Chen Liudao, a shrewd old man, who is looking for him. What kind of urgent matter could this old man have for him? Could it be that his 4th uncle could cheat him in buying and selling things? Song Qingming shook his head with a puzzled look on his face. After putting the things he brought with him into the store, Song Qingming went out again and came to an inn at the other end of King Hefeng. King Hefeng is not like the Yunfeng, which is backed by the 3rd level spiritual vein of Funiu Mountain. There is no place in the market to open caves and rent to the various cultivators who come here. Only a few large inns in the market can provide rental for cultivators who do not live in the market. Chen Liudao has basically lived here in King Hefeng in recent years. The spiritual vein of King Hefeng is only the 2nd level middle grade. There are 2 foundation building cultivators and hundreds of Qi refining cultivators stationed in the market all year round. In addition, the number of casual cultivators from outside has gradually increased in recent years. The spiritual veins in the market have gradually become overwhelmed. A cultivator in the late Qi refining stage, like Song Qingming, occasionally has to refine some spirit stones in order not to delay his own cultivation progress. Almost 4 years have passed since Song Qingming broke through the 7th level of Qi refining in Yunfeng. Although Song Qingming's cultivation has improved, he is still some distance away from breaking through the 8th level of Qi refining. After reaching the late stage of Qi refining, Song Qingming suddenly felt that his progress in cultivation had slowed down a lot. The progress of cultivation for a cultivator in the late stage of Qi refining is at least twice as difficult as that in the middle stage of Qi refining. Under normal circumstances, it would take at least 10 years for a cultivator with 4 spiritual roots like Song Qingming to break through one level of cultivation in the late stage of Qi refining. Even if he has no shortage of elixirs, spiritual stones, and special high-level spiritual objects, it would take at least 1 or 2 years for him to break through to the 8th level of Qi refining. It is precisely because of the slow progress of cultivation that he has more time to complete the practice of Fengyan, forging soul ju in his hand in the past few years. After asking the shop assistant, Song Qingming quickly found the residence of Chen Liudao. Seeing Song Qingming coming to visit, Chen Liudao excitedly invited him into his room. Song Xiao, you are finally here. I have come to look for you several times. Unfortunately, I heard that you left King Hefeng some time ago. I can only leave a message and wait for you here. Song Qingming smiled and answered, I happen to go back for something at home. I don't know why Senior Chen is so anxious to find me this time. After carefully placing a soundproof barrier beside the two of them, Chen Liudao said with a serious face, it's like this, Song Xiaoyao, I accidentally found a senior cave a while ago. I didn't expect that there were many restrictions in the cave. I have tried for many years and have never been able to enter it. This time I invited you to come together to invite you to go. I want to use your ability as a formation master. I hope that Song Xiaoyao can help. Senior cave. I don't know where this cave is, and how far is it from us? Hearing Chen Liudao's words, Song Qingming was a little surprised. I thought Chen Liudao wanted to talk to me about some business, but I didn't expect that this old guy wanted to pull me in to explore the senior monk's cave. In the history of more than 100,000 years of the immortal cultivation world, many senior and independent cultivators with profound cultivation would build a hidden cave for themselves in some remote places. It is entirely up to the cultivator's own chance to find such a cave in the wild. The owner of the cave in such a place would set up a powerful protective ban for the cave. Although exploring the cave of such a dangerous senior and ancient cultivator may have unexpected gains, it may also be a place of burial without return. This cave is not too far from Qinghefang. It is in the Funiu Mountain in the east. It takes at most 1 month to go back and forth. I have been there several times. There are no powerful monsters nearby. Don't worry, my friend. This time I have also invited another Taoist friend in the late stage of Qi refining to go with me. As long as the Taoist friend can help break the ban there, no matter what appears after entering the cave, we will give you a share. Seeing Song Qingming's hesitation, Chen Liudao said with a look of joy on his face. Senior, are there other reasons why you came to me for this matter? Upon hearing this, Taoist Chen paused and then said, young friend Song also knows that I am not a local cultivator, and there are not many people I can trust here. I have known you for a few years, and I still trust your character. In addition, I have seen before that your formation strength is indeed good. With your magical powers, there is a great hope of breaking the ban on that cave, so I came directly to you. Senior Chen, I'm really sorry. I have no interest in the cave you left behind. There are still many formation masters in the market. You might as well look for someone else. Please rest assured that I am not a talkative person, and I will keep this matter to myself. After thinking about it, Song Qingming still didn't want to explore the senior's cave with Taoist Chen. Now he had no shortage of spirit stones, so there was really no need to take the risk. He bowed to Taoist Chen and turned to leave the inn. Song Qingming's sudden refusal caught Chen Liudao off guard and he was stunned. Seeing that Song Qingming was about to leave, Chen Liudao hesitated for a moment and said to Song Qingming, didn't you ask me some time ago if there was any follow-up to the technique I sold you? If you are willing to go with me this time, you will probably get the follow-up technique you want. Hearing Chen Liudao mention the follow-up technique of Fenging soul forging technique that he had been thinking about for some time, Song Qingming stopped involuntarily, turned around and asked, could it be that the technique that Senior Chen got originally came from this senior cultivator's cave? Seeing that Song Qingming was persuaded by him, Taoist Chen continued with an excited look on his face, my dear Song, your guess is right. This technique is what I found in this cave. It's just that I only entered the outer part of the cave at that time and only got some classics and techniques, including the technique in my hand. If we can successfully open the restrictions in the cave, it is indeed possible for you to get what you want. I can take the initiative to promise you that as long as we find the subsequent techniques of Fenging soul forging technique, we can give it to you first. As for other treasures in the cave, I can also give you a share as I said before. After hearing what the other party said, Song Qingming still did not agree immediately. Instead, he thought about it and said, Senior Chen, how about letting me think about this matter? Senior, please wait for me here for a day, and I will give you an answer tomorrow. Okay. I'll wait for you here for a day. If you really don't want to go by then, I'll try to find someone else to see if there's any suitable candidate who understands the formation, Taoist Chen said with a very considerate smile. Chapter 92 Blackstone Gate. One day later, on a small dirt hill outside Qinghefang, Song Qingming and Chen Liudao were meditating and resting on the hill. After returning to his residence yesterday, Song Qingming thought about it again and again, and decided to agree to Chen Liudao. The next day, Song Qingming left a letter at his residence, writing down everything about himself and Chen Liudao going to explore the ancient monk's cave. In case of any accident this time, the Song family would know where he went in the future. After Song Qingming packed his luggage, he asked his fourth uncle Song Changqiu for a month's leave, asking him to continue to help manage the store here. Seeing that Song Qingming had just returned from Funiu Mountain and was going on a long journey again, Song Changqiu was a little worried about his safety and couldn't help asking him a few questions. However, Song Qingming had previously promised Feng Liudao that he could not tell others about this matter. In the face of Song Changqiu's concern, Song Qingming could only laugh it off. Song Changqiu has been in the market for so many years, and his ability to judge people must be extraordinary. Even if Song Qingming didn't say it, he probably guessed that Song Qingming's going out this time must be related to the old Taoist priest who came to see him a few days ago. Seeing that Song Qingming was unwilling to tell him directly, Song Changqiu did not continue to ask. He also saw that Song Qingming had made up his mind to go out this time, so he could only nag him a few words to be careful on the road. Wang Cheng has grown a lot in the past few years, and basically all the big and small affairs in the store can be handed over to him. Fourth uncle only needs to take time to come and take a look occasionally, and Song Qingming is still quite relieved about this. Song Qingming and Chen Liudao waited on the small hill for almost 2 hours, and a middle-aged Taoist wearing a green cloak came here. Seeing this person, Taoist Chen, who had squinted his eyes, suddenly brightened up, stood up and walked forward to this person and said, "Fellow Taoist Joe is finally here, let me introduce you, this is the fellow Taoist Song I mentioned before." Song Qingming heard Taoist Chen introducing himself, and he also walked forward to greet this Taoist fellow Joe. The middle-aged Taoist was named Zhou Tangjin, who was also a casual cultivator who came to Qinghefeng in recent years. He was also a helper specially invited by Taoist Chen this time. Zhou Tangjin glanced at Song Qingming and did not speak, but just nodded slightly. His cultivation was higher than that of Song Qingming and Taoist Chen, and he had already cultivated to the 8th level of Qi Refining. After Taoist Chen introduced the two to each other, the three of them went directly eastward to Funiu Mountain under his leadership. Funiu Mountain was not too far from Qinghefeng. It took only 2 days for the three of them to enter Funiu Mountain with all their strength. Funiu Mountain is located to the west of Qinghefeng. It is a general term for a huge mountainous area spanning the 3 counties of Qing, Pinggang, and Gukang. In this area, the mountains are high and the forests are dense, monsters are rampant, and it is difficult for mortals to survive. Except for some monks who come to hunt monsters nearby, basically no one will come here. Although Funiu Mountain is not as dangerous as Funiu Mountain Range, there are also many monsters in it. And there are also second-level monsters in the depths, so it is not a safe place. Since Funiu Mountain is not explored by as many monks as Funiu Mountain Range, it is not surprising that Chen Liudao can find some ancient monks' caves. However, it is not certain whether there is anything in such an ancient monk's cave. After entering, it may make the monk rich overnight, or it may be empty after opening. In general, most of the senior monks' caves have more or less something in them. Of course, whether it is good or bad depends on the luck of the person who enters. After walking in Funiu Mountain for another 2 days, the three came to the foot of a mountain hundreds of feet high. This high mountain is so tall and steep that it stands alone among the surrounding mountains. The surrounding mountains are very steep, like a knife cut. Except for flying birds, it is estimated that it is difficult for ordinary beasts to climb up. The three people used the light body technique to jump left and right on the rocks. It took them a meal to reach the top of the mountain. Unexpectedly, there were cliffs at the bottom of the mountain, but the top of the mountain was very flat, with many tall trees, flowers and plants, and a scene of lush green leaves. Taoist Chen led Song Qingming and the other two to walk in the forest on the top of the mountain for half a quarter of an hour, and soon they arrived at an ancient stone cave. At first, a ray of light could be seen, but as the three people went deeper into the ancient cave, it soon became pitch black. Taoist Chen walked in the front, and after walking more than 10 feet away, he waved his sleeves and released a ball of fire in his hand, which quickly illuminated the situation in the cave clearly. The stone cave is about 4 or 5 feet in diameter. There is a black stone door in front, and there are several stone platforms on both sides, and there are a pile of books and bamboo slips that have been turned over in a mess. Seeing that the stone door was tightly closed and there was no sign of damage on the surface, Taoist Master Feng breathed a sigh of relief and said, It seems that this place has not been discovered by other cultivators. As long as we open this stone door, we can enter the cave." Seeing that Song Qingming had been looking at the books and bamboo slips that fell on the ground, Taoist Master Chen said to him again, "Fellow Taoist Song, don't look at them. Those on the ground are some useless low-level exercises and the diary notes of that senior. I took away the few useful ones last time." Seeing this, Song Qingming nodded and his eyes shifted to the tightly closed stone door. Along the way, he heard from Taoist Master Chen that this senior cultivator's cave was accidentally found when he came here to pick spiritual herbs more than 20 years ago. The restrictions set outside the cave are relatively simple, and Taoist Master Chen had broken them 20 years ago. However, after arriving here, facing this dark stone door, Taoist Master Chen worked hard for several months but failed to successfully shake this restriction, so he had no choice but to leave here temporarily. A few years ago, Taoist Chen relied on the spiritual objects he found in the cave outside to improve his cultivation to the late stage of Qi refining. Taoist Chen returned here again, but unfortunately the restrictions on the black stone door were indeed quite advanced. Taoist Chen tried various ways in the past few years and failed to break the restrictions. He finally gave up the treasure and found Song Qingming and the others. Song Qingming looked at the black stone door carefully and found that there was nothing unusual except a strange rune engraved on the top of the stone door. "How about it, Brother Song? Have you figured out what's going on? Are you sure you can break this restriction?" Seeing that Song Qingming stared at the black stone door for a long time without saying anything, Taoist Chen couldn't help but ask. Song Qingming looked back at the two and said, "It seems that this is indeed the cave of a senior who has established his foundation, as he can set up such a profound restriction to guard the cave. It will take some effort to break the restriction on the stone door. You two should recover your mana first. I will trouble you to help me next." Upon hearing that there was a way, Chen Liudao and Zhou Jintang also showed joy on their faces. They hurriedly took a pill of Hulang pill and sat down to recover their mana. Song Qingming took out 6 formation flags from the storage bag and inserted them into the 6 angles around the stone door, and then took out a gray circular formation plate. After the two people next to him recovered their spiritual power, Song Qingming raised his eyebrows and said, "My two Taoist friends, the restriction on the stone door cannot be forcibly broken with our current cultivation. We can only rely on the formation to change the pattern of the restriction and weaken the power of the restriction. Next, I will trouble you to use your mana to help me maintain the formation." Chapter 93 Breaking the Restriction. Song Qingming cast a series of spells, and the mana in his body slowly sank into the array disc in his hand. After a while, a golden light emerged from the gray array disc, and it began to slowly rotate and fly into the air. Two Taoist friends, quickly inject your mana into the array flag on the stone gate. Before I break the ban, you must not stop, otherwise all your efforts will be wasted. Hearing Song Qingming's urging, Chen Liudao and Zhou Tangjin did not ask any more questions. The two of them quickly hit the array flag outside the stone gate in front of them, one red and one blue. 6 spiritual lights instantly emitted from the 6 array flags, and then merged together and injected into the array disc above Song Qingming. Song Qingming carefully controlled the array disc. After the spiritual power inside it gradually stabilized, Song Qingming began to operate the array disc with golden light to stick it on the dark stone gate. As soon as it touched the stone gate, the golden spiritual power in the array disc turned into branches and directly connected to the rune above the stone gate. The part of the rune that was originally pitch black and touched the golden spiritual light slowly turned golden, and then slowly spread upwards. The golden spiritual power seemed to flow slowly on the rune like golden blood. It was not until half an hour later that the golden spiritual light completely covered the entire rune, and the originally lifeless black rune had turned golden. "Fellow Taoist Song, can you stop now?" Zhou Tangjin saw that the black rune had turned golden, and immediately asked Song Qingming. Hearing Zhou Tangjin's words, Taoist Chen also turned his head and smiled at Song Qingming. Song Qingming shook his head at the two of them and replied calmly, "How can it be so simple? I have just started. Please be more patient. Next, Song will patiently deal with this rune restriction. Fellow Taoist Song, don't worry about your work. Leave this to the two of us. We are already here, and we don't need to spend this little time. What do you think, fellow Taoist Zhou?" Taoist Chen said to Zhou Tangjin on the side with a smile, fearing that he was too impatient. Zhou Tangjin smiled, nodded, and said nothing more. Song Qingming's method of breaking this restriction was a method of breaking the formation called Rune Pirate Seal method in the Liu family's formation book. This method is very effective for some relatively simple formations and restrictions. As long as the person who breaks the formation can understand the approximate rune pattern that needs to be broken, he can use the Pirate Seal method to go back from the last line in the rune and use spiritual power to open up the spiritual power veins of the entire formation restriction. Then, forcibly break up a part of the spiritual power veins that have been opened, which will greatly weaken the power of the formation restriction, and then the formation can be forcibly broken from the outside. After 3 hours, Song Qingming withdrew the spiritual power in his hand, and the formation plate attached to the stone door suddenly returned to his hand, and the runes on the stone door restriction also changed from gold back to the original black color. After putting away the array disc in his hand, Song Qingming said to the two people behind him, "It's okay, two Taoist friends, as long as everyone attacks with all their strength, we should be able to break this restriction." At this time, most of the mana in Chen Liudao and Zhou Tangjin's body had been consumed. Chen Liudao, who had a lower cultivation level, had a pale face due to excessive mana consumption. Hearing Song Qingming finally say that the crack had been completed, the two breathed a sigh of relief, quickly put away their mana, and took the pill again to restore their mana. In fact, after the rune stealing method begins, the cultivator does not need to inject spiritual power continuously. It only needs to inject spiritual power every once in a while to replenish the golden spiritual power in the array disc. The reason why Song Qingming did not tell the two people clearly was that it would be troublesome to explain to people who did not understand the array method, and secondly, he also wanted to let them know that it was very difficult for him to break this restriction, so that they would not underestimate his contribution. That's why he did not explain this to them. After Song Qingming put away the formation flags around the stone gate, he saw that Chen Liudao and Zhou Tangjin were still meditating to recover their mana, so he also sat down and began to meditate to recover his mana. When he just broke the ban, he also consumed a lot of mana, but it was much better than the two of them. After taking a key recovering pill and meditating for a while, Song Qingming's mana quickly recovered. In order to prevent the two from easily seeing his little thoughts when he just broke the formation, Song Qingming pretended to meditate for a while after his mana was restored. After Song Qingming finished meditating, he stood up and looked at the two people who were still meditating. He knew that it would be difficult for him to open the black stone door alone, so he didn't waste his energy to try the stone door. Song Qingming, who was a little bored in this wide cave, walked to the stone table on one side of the stone gate and picked up the scattered bamboo slips on the ground and read them. These bamboo slips are basically some common classics introducing spiritual objects, and some experiences of the cave owner when traveling outside, and the experience of practicing some exercises. Song Qingming was already interested in some unknown things in the world of immortal cultivation, and he became interested immediately after seeing these classics. However, before he could finish reading the bamboo slips in his hand, someone interrupted his thoughts. Zhou Tangjin, who had always been a little anxious, stood up first and ended his meditation. Seeing that both of them had finished their meditation, Taoist Chen, whose mana had just recovered more than half, could only stand up helplessly. Seeing that Song Qingming was still looking at the bamboo slips that he had already picked out several times by the stone table, Taoist Chen was a little puzzled and urged him. Song Xiaoyao, I have read those things several times. They are indeed useless. Taoist brothers, please don't waste your time there. Song Qingming put away the bamboo slips in his hand, squinted his eyes and said lightly, I am interested in the scenery and anecdotes in these bamboo slips. If you don't want these things, I will take them back and read them slowly. Do you two Taoists have any objections? That's it. Anyway, they are useless things. Taoist brothers, hurry up and don't delay the business. After all, this place is deep in Funiu Mountain. If you encounter a level 2 monster, it will be troublesome. Zhou Tangjin didn't care about these things. He thought that Song Qingming wanted these worthless things because he was too busy. Song Qingming took out an empty storage bag, quickly put these bamboo slips into it, and then walked towards Chen Liudao and the others. Song Qingming now has more than one storage bag on him. The last time he was attacked in Bailong Mountain, he got 2 storage bags. 2 years ago, in Qinghefang, Song Qingming, who had no shortage of spiritual stones, specially replaced his original low-level storage bag with a high-level one. After putting away these bamboo slips, Song Qingming flipped his hand and released a white jade sword on his body. Chen Liudao took out a silver iron ruler, and Zhou Tangjin also had a yellow spear in his hand. The three of them released their magic weapons and launched attacks on the rune above the black stone door at the same time. After a violent noise, the rune above the stone door also had a crack. Seeing that the attack was effective, the three of them smiled and increased their magic power, and continued to attack the rune. After an incense stick, with a bang, the rune was completely shattered under the yellow golden spear in Zhou Tangjin's hand. As the rune shattered, the black stone door automatically sank into the ground. Among the three, Song Qingming and Chen Liudao were holding medium-grade magic weapons, and only the golden spear in Zhou Tangjin's hand was a high-grade magic weapon. They were able to break the ban so quickly, mainly because of Zhou Tangjin's great efforts. As the stone door fell, the senior cave that had been hidden for many years finally appeared in front of Song Qingming and the other two. Song Qingming took a glance and found that this cave was much larger than the one outside, and there was a burst of abundant spiritual energy inside. Although it was not as strong as the spiritual veins of King Hefang, the spiritual energy strength exceeded that of the Song family's Funiu, and it was estimated to be about to reach level 2. Chapter 94, Making a Fortune. Although there are spiritual veins outside this mountain, Song Qingming felt that the spiritual veins here were not of high level all the way. He didn't expect that it was the owner of this cave who set up a high-grade spirit-gathering formation here, which gathered most of the spiritual power of this mountain into this cave, which caused the spiritual energy in other places on the mountain to be very scarce and became very thin. As soon as the stone door fell, a gust of dust from the cave rushed towards the three people. A lot of dust has accumulated in this cave. I'm afraid no one has cleaned it for at least decades. Taoist Chen released a protective light shield to separate the dust and walked into the cave first. Seeing that the cave was pitch black and the whole picture could not be seen clearly, he took out a fist-sized night pearl from his body, and the dim cave instantly became as bright as the outside. With the light of the night pearl, the three people could see the whole picture of the cave. This is a second-level magic weapon. Hearing Zhou Jintang's surprised voice, Song Qingming looked up in the direction he was moving, and a golden bronze mirror floating on the right side of the cave came into his eyes. The three of them approached and saw that the golden bronze mirror was wrapped in a yellow light shield, and there were waves of spiritual power inside. Judging from the spiritual power above, the grade of this bronze mirror was far higher than the first-level magic weapon in their hands. It should be a second-level lower-grade magic weapon. Zhou Tangjin raised his magic power, and a blue spiritual light quickly passed through the yellow light shield and covered the bronze mirror. He wanted to use the object control technique to take the bronze mirror into his hands. Unexpectedly, after his object control technique was used, the golden bronze mirror only moved slightly in his direction. As soon as it touched the yellow light shield outside, it immediately returned to its original position. Zhou Jintang increased his magic power and tried several times, but the result was still the same. He couldn't help but feel a little angry. This magic weapon is the center of the spiritual power array in the cave. It will take some effort to take it down. Let's go and look at other things first, and then deal with this magic weapon. Seeing that Zhou Jintang wanted to use brute force to open the light shield, Song Qingming quickly reminded him. As soon as he saw the golden bronze mirror, Song Qingming had already determined that this magic weapon was the eye of a formation, but at first he was not sure what formation it was. It was not until Zhou Jintang touched the formation that he recognized the origin of the formation in front of him. This formation was of a very high level, at least it was not something he could set up now. Song Qingming stopped Zhou Jintang to prevent him from destroying the formation. He wanted to dismantle the formation completely. Among the three people, only he, the formation master, knew that even without the second-level magic weapon in the eye of the formation, this set of spirit-gathering formation was not low in value. When he heard Song Qingming say that this was another set of formation restrictions, Zhou Jintang shook his head helplessly and put away his magic power. The three of them bypassed this place and walked into the cave. After bypassing here, Song Qingming and the others searched separately in the cave and soon found the retreat room in the cave. Fortunately, there was no restriction here, and the three of them pushed the door lightly and walked in smoothly. The retreat room was not big, and there were no extra items inside. There was only a small stone bed, on which sat a rotten corpse that had been dead for many years. Although the corpse had rotted so much that the face could no longer be seen, the pressure of the spiritual consciousness reflected from him could still be felt. This person was a foundation building senior in his lifetime, and his cultivation was probably in the late stage of foundation building. When they saw the golden storage bag hanging around the waist of the corpse, surprise appeared in the eyes of the three people. The three people had just searched in this cave, and in addition to the second-level magic weapon they found at the beginning, they only found a few low-grade spiritual medicines on one side of the cave. It was obvious that the other spiritual objects must be hidden in the storage bag of this senior. Wait a minute, fellow Taoist Joe, the so-called cause and effect reincarnation. We are grateful to this senior today, so we should not defile the senior's body too casually, otherwise our own Yinda will be detrimental to our future cultivation. Taoist Chen stretched out his hand to stop Zhou Tangjin, who wanted to go forward, and slowly told him the theory of cause and effect hidden in his stomach. You are really troublesome. Zhou Tangjin turned around and looked at Song Qingming with some displeasure. Seeing that he had no objection to Chen Liudao's words, he muttered something and took a few steps back unwillingly, making way for Chen Liudao. Chen Liudao stepped forward and knelt down to the corpse of the elder and bowed 3 times. He said, "Today, the 3 of us juniors have the opportunity to enter the elder's cave. We must take good care of the elder's corpse. As for the spiritual objects in the elder's hand, they have been covered in dust here for many years. Let's just say that the elder has given us juniors an opportunity." After Chen Liudao finished speaking, he bowed again, then stood up and stepped forward, carefully taking off the storage bag on the waist of the corpse. The storage bag on the body of the foundation building cultivator must be of a high grade. After so many years, the restrictions on the storage bag have loosened a lot, but it still took the 3 of them 2 days to open the restrictions. During this period, the 3 of them took turns to use their magic power to break the restrictions, and Song Qingming also took some time to put away the spirit gathering array in the cave. This senior monk had a high level of cultivation when he was alive. He had already reached the late stage of foundation building. From the fact that he could use a second-level magic weapon as a spiritual weapon for formations, even though they had not opened the storage bag before, Song Qingming had probably guessed that there would be a lot of good things in it. Apart from anything else, this golden second-level storage bag had a space of at least 10 feet in radius, and it could easily be exchanged for hundreds of spiritual stones on the market. Together with a golden bronze mirror, a second-level magic weapon they had obtained before, the value of these 2 things alone had made the 3 of them a small fortune this time. After opening the golden storage bag, as expected by the 3 people, there were indeed a lot of spiritual objects in the senior's storage bag. The 3 people also found 3 second-level magic weapons, 5 second-level spiritual talismans, more than 2,000 spiritual stones, 3 of which were medium-grade spiritual stones, and other spiritual objects such as the cultivation manuals in the storage bag, with a total value of nearly 7,000 spiritual stones. There were also some easily damaged elixirs, spiritual herbs, and other spiritual objects that had been damaged because they had been stored for too long. Most of these things could no longer be used, and the remaining ones were not of high value. What surprised Song Qingming was that he did not find the follow-up method of Fenging soul forging technique, the biggest purpose of his trip, in the cave, but found another relatively complete spiritual consciousness method. This result made Song Qingming feel a little bit amused and helpless. In the matter of practicing spiritual consciousness, it seemed that God liked to play a joke on him. At first, he had been looking for the spiritual consciousness method in Gianfeng for several years but failed. When he returned to a small place like Qing County, Taoist Chen sent the method to him. Now that the method he had practiced for several years had been determined to have no follow-up, he had to start all over again. Thinking of this, Song Qingming couldn't help but smile bitterly. Seeing so many spiritual stones and spiritual objects in front of him, the 3 people who had just worked together looked at each other with a little more defensiveness. This amount of spirit stones was really too much for a Qi refining cultivator. Song Qingming had accumulated thousands of spirit stones over the years. Seeing this pile of spiritual objects worth thousands of spirit stones, Song Qingming's reaction was similar to that of Feng Liudao and the others. They were so excited that they didn't know what to say. They had already started planning in their minds how to use this large amount of spirit stones in their hands next. Chapter 95, Distribution of Spiritual Objects. After gathering all the spiritual objects in the cave and counting them, the 3 of them will start to distribute the spiritual objects they have obtained. The 3 of them had an agreement in advance. Chen Liudao was the initiator of this exploration of the senior's cave, and it was thanks to him that the 3 of them found this place. After entering the cave, he would take half of the spiritual objects inside, and the remaining half would be divided equally between Song Qingming and Zhou Jintang. Zhou Jintang had the highest cultivation level and made the greatest contribution when breaking the formation. Although Song Qingming's contribution to weakening the band was more important than his, the three of them had already agreed on this matter in advance, and he couldn't say much now. Among the spiritual objects obtained in the cave, the most valuable ones were the second-level magic tools. Among them, there was a green flying sword magic tool with a quality of the second-level middle grade. It could be sold for at least more than 1,000 spirit stones in the market. According to the rule that Chen Liudao could choose first, this flying sword soon fell into his hands. Looking at the second-level flying sword in his hand, Chen Liudao played with it for a few times with a happy face, and carefully put it into his storage bag. Zhou Jintang originally wanted the middle-grade flying sword in Chen Liudao's hand, but Chen Liudao had the right to choose spiritual objects first, so he could only settle for the second best and chose to take the other two second-grade low-grade magic tools. Song Qingming was not very interested in the second-grade magic tools, and only got one of the 4 second-grade magic tools of poor quality, which was the golden bronze mirror used by the cave owner as the center of the formation. This bronze mirror has a relatively simple attack ability. After the sacrifice, it can only emit a golden light to fight the enemy. It is a relatively ordinary second-grade magic tool, which is worth about 500 to 600 spiritual stones on the market. However, even so, second-grade magic tools are still very rare in small markets like Qinghefang. No matter which cultivation skill in the world of immortal cultivation, it is very difficult to upgrade to the second level. Among the thousands of cultivators in Qing County, there are at least 1 or 200 weapon refiners, and only one can upgrade his own weapon refiner to the second level. Because of this, any second-level magic weapon that appears in Qinghefang will cause a sensation in the neighborhood. This kind of thing can even attract other foundation-building monks from other places to the market. In order to use a second-level magic weapon, a cultivator in the Qi refining stage must at least reach the 9th level of Qi refining before he can barely sacrifice and refine it. Song Qingming's cultivation is still some distance away from the 9th level of Qi refining, so it is still too early for him to use a second-level magic weapon. Compared with these second-level high-level magic weapons that he cannot use yet, Song Qingming still prefers the second-level talisman that he can use now. The requirements for the use of the second-level talisman for the cultivator in the Qi refining stage are not as high as those for the second-level magic weapon. As long as the cultivation reaches the late stage of Qi refining, the second-level talisman can be used. However, how much power the second-level talisman can exert depends on the level of mana of the cultivator who uses it. These 5 talismans were all second-level lower-grade talismans, and the value difference was not too big. Song Qingming took away 2 of the more useful ones, and the other 2 were taken by Chen Liudao. Zhou Jintang had taken 2 good second-level magic tools before, so he only got 1 second-level talisman with less power. The value of a second-level lower-grade talisman is at least 200 spiritual stones on the market. In the past few years, Song Qingming has relied on the convenience of collecting spiritual objects in the shop in Qinghefang, and secretly bought a second-level lower-grade talisman for self-defense. Spiritual objects above the second level are not as easy to obtain as first-level spiritual objects. Even in Guianfang, most of the time you may not be able to buy them at any time even if you have spiritual stones, not to mention a small market like Qinghefang. This kind of spiritual object that can easily change the situation in the battle between cultivators, most of them will be quickly bought by cultivators as long as they appear in the market, especially those Qi refining families, who like to collect a few second-level talismans as family heritage. The Song family has been passed down for 200 years, and there are 2 second-level talismans collected on Mount Lingyuan. This kind of family treasure cannot be easily used unless the family is in danger of survival. Even though Song Qingming has served as the elder of the family in recent years and knows some important things in the family, he only knows that these 2 talismans have been controlled by the patriarch. He doesn't even know what kind of talismans they are. As for other spiritual objects such as the cultivation manuals, which are difficult to judge the value, the 3 of them each took what they wanted. When they encountered the cultivation manuals they all wanted, they took some time to copy each other's copies. According to the agreement with Feng Liudao in advance, Song Qingming also got the spiritual consciousness cultivation manual he wanted most. After checking it with his spiritual consciousness, he threw the bamboo slips of the cultivation manual into his storage bag. Now he is busy dividing the spiritual objects, and he has no time to open it and take a closer look. He can only study it slowly after returning. After distributing the spiritual objects obtained in the cave, the three of them took the body of the predecessor outside the cave, intending to find a beautiful place on the top of the mountain and dig a pit so that the owner of the cave could rest in peace. Taoist Chen took out a feng shui compass magic tool, turned around on the top of the mountain, and found a place with good feng shui and birds singing and flowers blooming. He decided to bury the body of the predecessor here. I don't know if it's because there are too many spiritual objects this time. Zhou Jintang, who was always anxious before, didn't say much this time. He was very happy and took the initiative to take on the more difficult task of digging a pit. Zhou Jintang took out a large giant sword and chopped it down on the ground with great force. There was a big pit on the ground with a burst of dust. Zhou Jintang shouted, and the giant sword in his hand began to dance in the pit. Soon he dug a deep pit deep enough to bury people, and then put the once majestic foundation building predecessor into the pit. When carrying the corpse, Zhou Jintang saw that the robes worn by the senior seemed to be of good quality. He was a little tempted and said, "This robe is of good quality. It can probably be sold for 100 spirit stones in the market. It's a waste to bury it in the soil. How about taking it down and sharing it among us?" Even though he had just been given so many good things, Zhou Jintang still wanted to take the robes of the cave owner. Song Qingming thought to himself that this guy was too greedy. "Hey, when we took down the senior's storage bag, we promised to bury the senior's body properly. Fellow Taoist Zhou, please don't make trouble." Seeing Zhou Jintang being so greedy, Chen Liudao couldn't stand it anymore and stopped Zhou Jintang with an unhappy look on his face. Seeing that Feng Liudao and Song Qingming both looked a little unhappy, Zhou Jintang smiled awkwardly and said, "Haha, I just mentioned it. Brother Chen, forget it. Don't take it to heart." Zhou Jintang jumped out of the pit after he finished speaking, and patted Song Qingming's shoulder. "Fellow Taoist Song, I just saw you casting a spell in the cave. You must be practicing a technique with earth attributes. Next, please do me a favor and cast a spell to help me cover the mound." Song Qingming didn't want to say anything more to him, so he nodded and agreed to it. After all, the most important thing now was to help this senior rest in peace. After a loud rumbling sound, a mound of about 10 feet wide completely buried the deep pit that Zhou Jintang had just dug. Led by Chen Liudao, the three of them came forward to pay homage to this senior, and then left. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. You're too weak. Just after descending the mountain, Zhou Jintang suddenly called out to the two of them and said, "My two Taoist friends, I don't plan to return to King Hefeng now, so I won't go with you two. I'll go ahead." After saying goodbye to Song Qingming and the others, Zhou Jintang went directly in another direction. When he spoke, he was still wary of the two of them. Song Qingming thought that Zhou Jintang, like him, was also a temporary helper invited by Chen Liudao. He probably didn't know what the relationship between Chen Liudao and himself was like, and he began to be a little afraid that the two of them would join forces to harm him, so he chose to go separately from the two of them. After Zhou Jintang left, Chen Liudao and Song Qingming looked at each other, and there was a hint of other colors in their eyes. Zhou Jintang's farewell just now also reminded the two of them that they each carried thousands of spiritual objects worth thousands of spiritual stones on their bodies. Even ordinary foundation building cultivators would be tempted to see so many spiritual stones, let alone these low-level cultivators who were afraid of poverty. "Friend Song, I suddenly remembered that I have something else to do. Let's separate here. You can go back along the way you came." Chen Liudao narrowed his eyes and said something to Song Qingming. Before he could reply, he disappeared on the spot. Song Qingming could only sigh helplessly. Although it was the first time for the three of them to explore together, there was no conflict of interest. They were not so wary of each other. After getting such a large amount of spirit stones, some barriers were created between them. After putting away his thoughts, Song Qingming shook his head, and the spirit light on his feet moved and he left here quickly. When they came here, Chen Liudao, who was very familiar with this route, led the way. Since there were three people traveling together, they were naturally not afraid of encountering any powerful monsters. Now Song Qingming was alone. Although he knew the general route would not go in the wrong direction, This place was deep in Yunwu Mountain after all. It would be very dangerous if he was entangled by those powerful high-level monsters. For this reason, Song Qingming walked very carefully all the way and did not lower his caution in order to rush back to King Hefang. Although Yunwu Mountain was not as crowded with monsters as Funiu Mountain, the degree of danger here was no less than that of other places where monsters were active. In addition to the various monsters that appeared and disappeared, there were also many places surrounded by poisonous miasma. Once lost here, even a cultivator would not be able to escape the fate of not being able to get out of here. After walking along the route for 2 days, Song Qingming estimated that he would be able to get out of Yunwu Mountain in half a day. As long as he left here, he would basically be safe. After arriving at an open place, Song Qingming stopped and planned to rest for a while. He had already walked out of the depths of Yunwu Mountain. It was difficult to see monsters here. Next, he had to speed up and get out of this dangerous place in one breath before dark. Song Qingming had just sat down for a short time when his consciousness suddenly sensed a slight fluctuation of mana not far behind him. This made him stand up quickly as a reflex and shouted at the woods behind him. "Who are you? And why are you hiding behind me?" Song Qingming deliberately raised his voice very high, trying to force the hiding person in the woods to come out. "I didn't expect that I was so careful, but you still found me. Brother Song, how are you?" A man in a green cloak slowly walked out of the woods in the distance. "It's you, Brother Joe, aren't you planning to return to King Hefang? Why are you following me all the time?" The person who walked out of the woods was Zhou Jintang, who had left with Song Qingming 2 days ago. "I have been chasing Brother Song for 2 days, so naturally I want to see you off. It's worth our acquaintance, isn't it?" Zhou Jintang said as he slowly walked towards Song Qingming, his words full of teasing, as if he had already played Song Qingming around. Song Qingming thought for a moment, sighed and said, "Can I ask you another question? I'm not in a hurry. Just ask if you want to know something, so you don't end up being a fool later." "When we parted, Senior Chen got much more than me. Why did you choose to make things difficult for me instead of going to find him?" Song Qingming thought about it and asked the question that he had just thought of instinctively. He had not revealed any other wealth along the way, and Zhou Jintang had followed him for 2 days, obviously coming for the money. Why would he choose to let go of Taoist Chen, who obviously had more spiritual objects than him, and follow him all the way? Song Qingming really couldn't understand this. Zhou Jintang was holding a spear in his hand, and when he heard Song Qingming's question, his face suddenly showed a sinister look. "It's only because you look too weak. Taoist Chen is not so easy to deal with. The old guy is very slippery, and it's not easy to target him. Compared with that old sly guy, I naturally like fellow Taoist Song more. Do you plan to hand over the storage bag now, or do you want to wait a while for me to go forward and get it? If I hand over the storage bag, will you let me go?" Song Qingming asked back with a somewhat nervous expression. "I only come here for money. As long as you promise not to talk nonsense when you return, I can promise that I will never hurt you. Anyway, I will leave King County next, and you and I will never see each other again in this life." Seeing that Song Qingming seemed a little at a loss, as if he was really frightened by him, Zhou Jintang showed a slight smile on his face. In his eyes, most cultivators who came from a family like Song Qingming practiced in a relatively comfortable way. How could they compare to independent cultivators like them who had a hard time surviving? A little bit of cultivation resources might cost them their lives. Zhou Jintang, who came from an independent cultivator, naturally did not do such a thing for the first time. He was able to practice to the 8th level of Qi Refining, and it was by relying on several secret ambushes of fellow cultivators that he obtained a lot of spirit stones, which made his cultivation speed improve much faster than others. After pretending to hesitate for a while, Song Qingming, as if he had made up his mind, put a black storage bag on the spot, and looked at Zhou Jintang in the distance very carefully, and slowly backed away. Fellow Taoist Song is indeed a man who knows the times. "Don't worry, I will keep my word. I got so many spirit stones this time. Even if it is not enough to exchange for a foundation building pill, it is enough to exchange for a few inferior foundation building spiritual objects." Seeing Song Qingming so obedient, Zhou Jintang couldn't help but laugh wildly, and excitedly stepped forward to pick up the storage bag that Song Qingming put down. Just as he was about to open it to take a look, a wisp of black smoke suddenly came out of the storage bag in his hand. With a bang, a burst of yellow light came out, and Zhou Tangjin was blown several feet away, and then a shrill scream was heard. "You stinky boy, you dare to trick me, do you want to die?" Zhou Jintang cursed angrily, but fortunately he had always been a little alert, relying on a second-level defense talisman that he had prepared in his hand. He just blocked this wave of attacks in time. Only the left hand that was holding the storage bag before was too close to protect it, and was blown to pieces in the sudden explosion just now. "You can survive after being hit by my green fire thunder?" Fellow Taoist Zhou is really not simple. As soon as the explosion sounded, Song Qingming turned around and rushed back. Seeing Zhou Jintang, who had just been so smug, looking at him viciously, sitting on the ground not far away with blood all over his body and an arm missing, not to mention how embarrassed he looked now, Song Qingming couldn't help but make a sarcastic remark to him. Chapter 97 Crystal Ball. After encountering various crises several times outside, Song Qingming gradually saw the dangers and conspiracies in the cultivation world. In order to improve his ability to survive outside, Song Qingming spent a lot of time thinking about some useful self-defense methods in the 3 years in King Hefang. Just like the King Herolea he just used to deal with Zhou Tangjin, this thing is a one-time spiritual object like a talisman, and its quality is only level 1. It is more powerful than the general level 1 high-quality talisman. If it is used normally against the enemy, it is difficult to play a decisive role. The last trip to Funiu Mountain, Song Qingming was almost attacked by the monk named Gitao with a fake blood soul contract. After returning, Song Qingming repeatedly pondered Gitao's method and found that he used a trick to seal the attacking talisman in an inconspicuous object. As long as a monk opened it, it would instantly trigger the talisman and make it impossible for people to dodge. Song Qingming later followed suit and made one, but he didn't use any fake manuals, but directly used another ordinary storage bag he had. He had a different idea from Gitao. He felt that although the blood soul contract prepared by Gitao at that time would be relatively low in cost, it was too deliberate and complicated to use. It could only deceive those young men who were not deeply involved in the matter. It was difficult to succeed when encountering a more cautious cultivator like Song Qingming. Gitao did this because this trick was a means he often used to sneak attack others, and he couldn't do it so finely. Another point was that he was not as wealthy as Song Qingming now. Song Qingming's idea of using a storage bag as bait was relatively simple. His purpose was not to use it to actively harm others, but just to exchange for an opportunity to escape when he encountered a crisis that was difficult to escape. After all, most people are greedy, and when they see valuable objects, they will subconsciously lower their guard. As long as the opponent opens the storage bag he prepared in advance, the attack means inside will be triggered. Zhou Jintang was also a very greedy person just now. As expected, he was still calculated by Song Qingming. The second-level defensive talisman used by Dao Yao should be the one you got 2 days ago. Dao Yao Zhou is really willing to use this second-level talisman directly. Seeing Zhou Jintang looking at him fiercely, Song Qingming continued to speak with a faint expression. As Song Qingming said, he just used the biggest means of saving his life, so he didn't get hit by Song Qingming and saved his life. Zhou Jintang saw that the yellow light shield on his body was getting dimmer and dimmer, and he knew in his heart that the talisman in his hand could not hold on for much longer. He was now injured by the green fire thunder, and it was difficult to be sure of defeating Song Qingming. The reason why Song Qingming hadn't started to attack was actually because he was waiting. Although the trap he had prepared in advance had severely damaged this person, Song Qingming didn't know if Zhou Jintang had any other powerful means, so he didn't dare to attack rashly. At least he had to wait until the power of the second-level talisman in Zhou Jintang's hand disappeared before he could make a move. After all, he had already taken the advantage, so he didn't need to be too anxious. Zhou Jintang also slowly recovered his reason from his anger. Seeing that the current situation was a little bad, he slowly stood up from the ground and said calmly, "Fellow Taoist Song is really a good method. Zhou really underestimated you. Today I admit defeat. You can go. We have only known each other for a few days, and Brother Zhou has such a deep friendship that he has come thousands of miles to see me off. At least I have to use a big gift to thank you. Mortals still have to pay attention to reciprocity. Brother Zhou, don't you think so?" Song Qingming said calmly. "Okay, we all know the truth, so don't waste your time. If you want to eat me, it depends on whether your teeth are good enough." Zhou Jintang also heard from Song Qingming's words that he had no intention of letting him go. For him, it would be difficult for Song Qingming to change his mind without a fight today. As soon as the voice fell, Zhou Jintang danced with a spear in his hand, and a green light blade on the silver spearhead quickly slashed towards Song Qingming. He knew that his injuries were not light, and it would be disadvantageous for him to drag it on, so he could only choose to launch the attack first. Seeing Zhou Jintang's full-strength attack, Song Qingming did not dare to neglect it at all. He raised his right hand gently, and a golden copper umbrella appeared in his hand. After the copper umbrella was opened, it became much larger and protected Song Qingming's whole body. As soon as the green light blade and the yellow light covered on the Xianluo umbrella touched, a squeaking friction sound was made, and sparks flew in an instant. Song Qingming took several steps back before blocking the attack. It really made him a little puzzled. Zhou Jintang's cultivation was higher than Song Qingming's, and he practiced a wood-attributed technique that naturally restrained Song Qingming's earth-attributed technique, Qi. Under normal circumstances, if the two of them competed in magic power, Song Qingming would suffer a lot. Song Qingming didn't think much about it. After blocking this attack, he quickly turned his hands to attack. He formed seals with his hands, and a stream of magic power flowed from the ground to Zhou Jintang's feet and turned into several sharp earth spikes. Zhou Jintang was not in a hurry. He jumped sideways into the air and easily dodged these stabs from the ground. Before he landed, the two talismans in Song Qingming's hands flashed with golden light, and two golden knife lights came to him again. This time, he hadn't used the protective shield on his body yet, and it was already difficult to avoid it. Unable to dodge in the air, Zhou Jintang didn't have enough time to use his internal magic power to directly form a protective shield to resist the two attacks. Just when Song Qingming thought that his attack could hit the opponent, Zhou Jintang sneered contemptuously and took out a blue crystal ball. This crystal ball is not big, only the size of a walnut. After Zhou Jintang placed it on his head, a blue light quickly enveloped him, surrounding him tightly. The two middle-grade talismans used by Song Qingming hit the blue light ball and quickly lost their spirituality, turning into an ordinary piece of waste paper and falling down. The light ball emitted by this crystal ball not only has outstanding defensive power, but also has the ability to absorb spiritual power. The two middle-grade talismans had just been in contact with the light ball for a short time before their spiritual energy was exhausted, which really made Song Qingming stunned on the spot. He didn't expect Zhou Jintang to have such a powerful magic weapon. The defensive ability of this crystal ball can be said to be no worse than the Xianluo umbrella in Song Qingming's hand. Seeing Song Qingming's face full of surprise after seeing the power of his magic weapon, Zhou Jintang felt more confident about the next battle. The magic weapon on Zhou Jintang's head has been with him for many years. It is considered to be the most powerful defensive magic weapon among the first-class defensive magic weapons. After obtaining it, it has saved his life several times. It is considered to be the most powerful defensive means on him. After seeing the power of the crystal ball on Zhou Jintang's head, Song Qingming's face changed and he felt a headache. Although he also sacrificed and refined a good defensive magic weapon such as the Xianluo umbrella, his offensive ability is very average. He only has a medium-quality white jade sword and does not even have a high-quality flying sword. It seems that the next battle will be a tough one. Chapter 98 You are too greedy. How to break through the defensive magic weapon on Zhou Jintang's body has become an urgent problem that Song Qingming needs to solve. Although Song Qingming has a great advantage over Zhou Jintang now, the two of them are still in Funiu Mountain. If the next fight between the two attracts other cultivators or monsters, the storage bag be lost before will be wasted. In desperation, Song Qingming gritted his teeth and took out more than a dozen low and medium-level talismans, wanting to try again, whether he can rely on the number of talismans to attack from all angles, find the defensive blind spot of the crystal ball, and break through Zhou Jintang's last line of defense from the side. Song Qingming already knew that the blue light that this crystal ball can emit can weaken the spiritual power attached to the talisman, so that the talisman he released cannot attack normally after contacting the blue light shield. This time, after releasing the talisman, he deliberately left half of it for long-distance attack. He estimated that this kind of magic weapon with special abilities should not have too strong defensive ability. As long as the defensive blind spot is found, there is still a great chance to break through this defense. Song Qingming did not dare to expect much effect from this attack. His main purpose was to test how strong the opponent's magic weapon's defensive ability was. Soon, 5 or 6 talismans of different colors were activated by Song Qingming from a distance. They flew to Zhou Jintang's surroundings first. Together with a second wave of talismans that were approaching, more than a dozen talismans had surrounded Zhou Jintang from all directions. Sure enough, Zhou Jintang saw Song Qingming attacking with talismans again, and he was not panicked at all. The crystal ball on his head moved again, and it quickly rotated around him like running water, blocking all the talismans from the blue light. No matter what kind of talisman, once it touched Zhou Jintang's crystal ball, its power instantly dropped by 70% to 80%, and the remaining ones naturally posed no threat to Zhou Jintang. You want to break my defense with these low-level talismans, fellow Taoist Song? You are overestimating yourself. Seeing that Song Qingming still wanted to continue using the talismans to attack, Zhou Jintang sneered at him with some doubt, wondering what Song Qingming was up to. After hearing his words, Song Qingming's face remained unmoved, and he took out another 7 or 8 talismans, but this time the quality of the talismans was much better, and there were 2 top-grade talismans. Fellow Taoist Zhou, this time it depends on whether you have the ability to take it. Song Qingming felt a little distressed for using so many talismans, but this was a special moment of life and death, and he couldn't afford to think too much. He knew very well in his heart that as long as he could break the opponent's defensive magic weapon, this battle would be almost over. This time, Song Qingming also made up his mind to give it a try. After releasing all the talismans in his hand, he also took out the white jade sword in his hand and rushed towards Zhou Jintang quickly. Seeing that Song Qingming could not help but fight desperately, Zhou Jintang was not careless. He had already activated the crystal ball before the talismans approached him. He reached out and took a top-grade defensive talisman, adding another layer of defense for himself just in case. There was another crackling sound. This time, the talisman released by Song Qingming was more powerful, which still put Zhou Jintang under a lot of pressure. However, he was well prepared. With the magical power of the crystal ball, he blocked this wave of attacks. Only the aftermath of the 2 most powerful top-grade talismans passed through the defense of the blue light shield and fell on a cyan light shield on Zhou Jintang's body. Before Zhou Jintang could smile, Song Qingming, holding a white jade sword, had appeared beside him. Feeling a gust of cold wind on his waist, Zhou Jintang instinctively raised the spear in his hand to block the attack. Unexpectedly, seeing that his sword failed to succeed, Song Qingming threw out a small silver object in his hand, which looked like a small hidden weapon. Kid, I knew you were full of tricks. You've suffered a loss once, do you still want to succeed so easily? Zhou Jintang, who had been prepared, tapped his fingers lightly, and the ball above his head quickly flashed and blocked the silver hidden weapon. Hey! What's going on? Oh no, why is my 1000-water ball not obeying me? Before Zhou Jintang could react, Song Qingming kicked the crystal ball in front of him far away, and then punched him again, but this attack still failed. Zhou Jintang had activated a defensive talisman in advance. This punch hit Zhou Jintang's shield, and Song Qingming was bounced back more than 10 steps away. Zhou Jintang had actually thought wrong from the beginning. Song Qingming didn't care whether the talisman attacks just now could succeed. His destination was never Zhou Jintang, but the defensive magic weapon on his body. The silver hidden weapon he just released was the silver iron block that Qitao had given him. This iron block has the effect of temporarily isolating spiritual consciousness. Once attached to a magic weapon, it can temporarily make the opponent lose control of the magic weapon. For those who don't understand it, it can be said to have a miraculous effect. At the beginning, Song Qingming was also attacked by Qitao with this weapon, and his magic weapon was almost taken away by many parties. If it weren't for the magic weapon Xianluo umbrella in his hand, it would be hard to say who would win. Zhou Jintang was a little panicked when he lost the magic weapon of crystal ball. He didn't know what method Song Qingming used to break his magic weapon of crystal ball. Before Song Qingming continued to attack, he had already thrown out a few talismans and fled backwards quickly, but he was seriously injured and lost his left hand. He was shaking when he ran, and it was obvious that his speed was not as fast as normal. Dao, you want to leave now, but it's too late. Song Qingming held up the Xianluo umbrella and easily blocked the talismans. He took a few quick leaps and soon caught up with Zhou Jintang. Several sword lights quickly slashed at Zhou Jintang's back. On the other side, there was a white tiger puppet beast that Song Qingming had just released. The puppet beast released several lightning strikes, forcing him to stop and turn around to avoid the consecutive attacks. Seeing Song Qingming getting closer and closer, Zhou Jintang pretended to be calm and said, Dao Song, you'd better not force me. Don't think that you can easily defeat me just because I'm injured. Hearing Zhou Jintang's words, Song Qingming sneered and said, Dao Zhou, is your brain broken? It was you who followed me all the way to kill people and steal treasures. How come it's only been a short time, and I forced you to come and kill me?" Seeing that he still couldn't persuade Song Qingming, Zhou Jintang's face gradually showed a trace of despair. Now he was extremely regretful in his heart why he couldn't resist the temptation of the Spirit Stone and attack Song Qingming. In the previous battle, Zhou Jintang had used up all the powerful defensive spiritual objects on his body. The second-level spiritual talisman and crystal ball magic weapon were lost in the battle. In addition, his injuries continued to worsen due to the continuous fighting. His combat power was almost gone, and he soon died under Song Qingming's white jade sword. After confirming that the other party had no breath, Song Qingming pulled out a long sword on Zhou Jintang's chest, took off his storage bag and several magic weapons on his body, and finally released a fireball to burn his body clean. Fellow Taoist Zhou, it's all your fault that you are too greedy. Chapter 99 Return to the Mountain. After collecting Zhou Jintang's storage bag, Song Qingming realized that he had chased Zhou Jintang for more than 10 miles and was already far away from the place where he had just fought. Song Qingming quickly walked back for an instant of time and came to the place where he and Zhou Jintang had fought at the beginning. The two of them had a big fight and the flowers, plants and trees here were in trouble. Trees fell everywhere. Song Qingming searched in the grass nearby and spent a long time to find a blue ball. The ball was aqua blue with a small silver iron piece on it. It was the defensive magic weapon that Zhou Jintang had used before. In the previous battle, Song Qingming used the silver iron piece to isolate Zhou Jintang's consciousness on the crystal ball, causing him to temporarily lose control of the magic weapon. Then the crystal ball was kicked away by Song Qingming and fell into the grass. At that time, Song Qingming was chasing Zhou Jintang who was running away, and he didn't bother to find the magic weapon. Fortunately, it was not lost and was still here. Just now during the battle, Song Qingming also learned from Zhou Jintang the name of this magic weapon, Thousand Water Ball. This thing has outstanding defensive capabilities, especially for long-range attack methods such as talismans and hidden weapons. After putting away this magic weapon, Song Qingming was very satisfied. In this battle, he killed Zhou Jintang, got the items worth thousands of spirit stones in his storage bag, and got a magic weapon that he liked very much. How could he not feel very happy? After a simple search of the scene again, after finding that there were no other missing items, Song Qingming attached a medium-grade magic talisman to himself, and left here quickly. This place is not far from the edge of Funiu Mountain. Song Qingming rushed to the road with all his strength, and successfully walked out of Funiu Mountain in less than half a day. Song Qingming did not choose to return to Qinghefeng immediately, but went directly back to the family's funeration. After killing Zhou Jintang, Song Qingming still had a trace of worry in his heart. He also knew from Chen Liudao that this person was a casual cultivator, and he was not very clear about his specific details and whether there were other backers behind him. After arriving at Funiu Mountain, Song Qingming went directly to the clan leader Song Gushan and told him in detail about the trip to Funiu Mountain. After listening to Song Qingming's account of what happened in the past 10 days, Song Gushan was also surprised and happy. What surprised Song Qingming was that he almost lost his life. What made him happy was that Song Qingming was lucky. In the end, he not only survived but also got a lot of spiritual objects. After thinking about it, Song Gushan quickly made a corresponding response plan. First, Song Qingming was settled in the cave of the former elder, and he was asked not to go out these days. Then he sent the second elder Song Changfang to Qinghefeng to inquire about the specific origins of Zhou Jintang. Before Song Changfang returned to the mountain, Funiu Mountain also began to enter a tense state, and no matter who the Song family cultivators were, they could not go down the mountain at will. After Song Changfang arrived at Qinghefeng, he and his fourth uncle Song Changqiu went to the market to inquire about Zhou Jintang and Chen Liudao respectively, and finally got accurate information. These two were independent cultivators from other places, and not many people in Qing County knew them. A few days later, the news that Song Changfang brought back from Qinghefeng finally calmed Song Qingming's worries. Zhou Jintang was indeed an independent cultivator, and he had not been in Qing County for a long time. He only had a few ordinary independent cultivator friends in Qinghefeng. His sudden disappearance did not attract the attention of these people. They all said that he had always said that he wanted to leave here, and he should have left Qinghefeng. Unexpectedly, Chen Liudao did not return to Qinghefeng. Before the operation, he had even checked out of the guest room he had been renting. People who knew him, including the waiter at the inn, did not know where he had gone. Song Qingming estimated that this slippery old man would definitely not return to King Hefeng. After all, he had so many spiritual stones on him. Whether it was Song Qingming or Zhou Jintang, it was possible that the news would be leaked. Once people knew about it, it would definitely bring him a lot of trouble. Leaving King Hefeng directly was the best choice for him. He checked out of the room in advance. It seemed that he had already prepared to leave at any time. Zhou Jintang was dead, and Chen Liudao left King Hefeng again. This time, except for himself, no one else in the market knew about this trip to Funiu Mountain. Song Qingming stayed in Funiu for another half a month. After confirming that the matter had come to an end, the mountain gradually relieved the tension. Song Qingming also returned to his cave, but Song Gushan still asked him not to tell other cultivators in the clan about it. To be on the safe side, the old patriarch let Song Qingming stay in Funiu for a while and not return to King Hefeng. He arranged for Song Qingwen, the second oldest of the Qing generation, to go to King Hefeng to take over the management of Song Qingming. When he was still in the cave of the Great Elder, Song Qingming had already found a way to open Zhou Jintang's storage bag. As expected, except for the second-level talisman he used, all the other things he got were in his storage bag. During the trip of the three people to Funiu Mountain, each of them got spiritual objects worth thousands of spiritual stones. The second-level magic tools on Zhou Jintang's body would inevitably make even ordinary foundation-building cultivators excited. Seeing these magic tools, Song Qingming gradually showed a smile on his face, and finally his efforts were not in vain. In order to compete for cultivation resources in the world of immortal cultivation, many cultivators will lose their moral bottom line. Along the way, Song Qingming did not feel the malice of Zhou Jintang. He did not expect that this person was finally driven by his inner greed and chose to rob and kill his teammates. However, he finally miscalculated and fell into Song Qingming's hands. In Zhou Jintang's storage bag, in addition to the two most valuable second-level magic tools, there were many other spiritual objects and first-level magic tools, and there were thousands of spiritual stones, including a medium-grade spiritual stone. At that time, a total of 3 medium-grade spiritual stones were found in the storage bag of the predecessors. Each of the 3 people was allocated 1 piece. This should be the one that Zhou Jintang was allocated. Song Qingming took out all the spiritual objects in Zhou Jintang's storage bag and checked them one by one. When he opened one of the white medicine bottles, he suddenly smelled a familiar smell. The smell smelled very light, like a faint floral scent. After Song Qingming resealed the medicine bottle, he smelled it on himself and soon found a trace of the same smell on his shoulder. When burying the body of the senior monk in the cave, Zhou Jintang did pat his shoulder, but he didn't pay much attention to it at that time. It seems that he had left this smell on himself at that time, and he was followed by him all the way. No wonder he didn't follow the original route at the beginning. He took a lot of detours in the middle. Although the direction was the same, it was not the same road anymore, and Zhou Jintang still caught up with him accurately. There was just one thing that Song Qingming didn't understand. Although the smell of this medicine was unique, it was very light. He couldn't figure out how Zhou Jintang could determine his position by this smell. Could it be that he practiced some special skills and his nose was more powerful than a dog's? But Song Qingming rummaged around in his storage bag and didn't find this kind of skills book. In the end, he could only shake his head and let it go. He could only wait until he had a chance in the future to ask someone how to use the thing in this bottle. Chapter 100 Breakthrough. Half a year later, in an open space on the back of Funiu Mountain, a boy of about 11 or 12 years old was sitting on a flat stone platform, meditating with his eyes closed. From early morning to the scorching sun, several hours had passed, and the boy still remained motionless in this meditation posture, as if time had stopped here, and the boy had merged with a boulder under him. The breeze blew gently, and a fallen leaf just floated above the boy. What was strange was that when the fallen leaf was still a finger away from the boy's body, it suddenly changed direction for some reason, turned around and slid to the ground around the boy. As the fallen leaf just landed on the ground, the boy suddenly opened his bright eyes, stood up nervously, and looked at the spiritual light emanating from the mountain wall in front of him. After confirming that he was not mistaken, the boy showed a happy smile on his face, jumped off the boulder, and ran straight ahead quickly. After passing through the bamboo forest half a mile ahead, the boy came to a cave surrounded by clouds and mist. Seeing that the door of the cave in the clouds and mist had not yet been opened, The boy hesitated for a moment, but still stopped his steps and stood patiently not far from the door. An incense stick of time passed slowly, and the clouds and mist outside the cave were suddenly blown away by a breeze, and a man in green opened the door of the cave and slowly walked out. When the young man saw the young man, he hurried forward and saluted, saying, "Nephew, congratulations to Uncle Qi for successfully coming out of retreat." The man in green waved his hand, looked at the young man outside the door with a smile on his face and said, "Xinhu, are you here because the old patriarch wants to see me?" Song Xinhu nodded and said, "A few days ago, my great-uncle asked me to come here and wait for you. He said that when you come out of retreat, he would ask you to come and find him immediately. Oh. Go back and report to the patriarch first, and tell him that I will pack up here and come right over." After Song Xinhu left, Song Qingming, who had just come out of retreat, returned to his cave again, took out a dark green storage bag, opened it and checked it, and then took it with him and left quickly. After staying in Funiu Mountain for half a year, Song Qingming's cultivation finally reached the point where he could break through. For this reason, half a month ago, he did not hesitate to use a medium-grade spirit stone that he had obtained in Yunwushan not long ago. After retreating for half a month with the help of this spirit stone, he finally successfully raised his cultivation to the 8th level of Qi Refining. Since Song Qingming became an elder, he has also been qualified to practice in the back mountain. Half a year ago, Song Qingming had already chosen a place with good spiritual energy here, and then opened a new cave and moved here directly. Now his cave is not far from the old patriarch's cave, but only 4 or 5 miles away. It didn't take much time for Song Qingming to get there quickly. The old patriarch Song Gushan still had a kind face, but compared to a few years ago when Song Qingming just returned from traveling abroad, he had a few more strands of white hair. In the cave, not only Song Qingming came, but also several other elders of the Song family. The elders of the Song family are responsible for their own family affairs. In the past few years that Song Qingming has been an elder, except for the end-of-year clan meeting, this is the first time he has seen so many people come. It seems that the patriarch has something important to discuss. After greeting several elders, Song Qingming sat on a chair by the side. Every time the clan held a meeting, juniors like him didn't say much, so it was better to sit farther away. During the years that Song Qingming was in Qinghefang, one of the Song family members broke through to the late stage of Qi Refining and added an elder. This person was the second of the Qing generation, Song Qingwen, who went to Qinghefang to replace Song Qingming. Although the second sister Song Qingwen's spiritual root talent was very ordinary, she learned a good craft and became an alchemist early. In recent years, she has even broken through to the middle level of her alchemy skills, which makes her the most talented one in the Song family. Relying on her own good alchemy skills, Song Qingwen almost monopolized the supply of elixirs for most of the cultivators in the Song family, earned a lot of spiritual stones, and steadily improved her cultivation to the late stage of Qi Refining. The Song family has been in constant turmoil in recent years. Song Kings, who has the best talent, went to Xiaoyao sect, and Song Gubei, the great elder of the 9th level of Qi Refining, died on the mountain after his life was exhausted. The loss of 2 late-stage cultivators of Qi Refining at once greatly damaged their strength. Fortunately, now that Song Qingming and Song Qingwen have broken through to the late stage of Qi Refining one after another, they have made up for the shortage of family elders, and the Song family has finally recovered its vitality. Seeing that Song Qingming had another breakthrough in his cultivation, the old patriarch Song Gushan nodded at him with great satisfaction and said, "Since Qingming has come out of seclusion, Changfeng, please tell everyone about the matter again. 5 days ago, the Wang family sent us an edict, asking us to cooperate with them to clear out the monsters in Chiffon Ridge in a month. According to the letter from the Wang family, we have to dispatch at least 6 cultivators this time. I have communicated with several surrounding families in the past few days, and their situations are similar to ours. It's just that I heard that the Wang family has also invited helpers this time. I guess they want to take over the 2nd level spiritual vein of Chiffon Ridge in one go." 6th Uncle Song Changfang took a sip of tea and said slowly. The 4th elder, Song Gukei, stroked the long beard at the corner of his mouth and said, "The Wang family hasn't issued such an order for many years. They already have a lot of spiritual veins. Why do they want to take other secondary spiritual veins? Could it be that someone in their family is going to build a foundation again? It seems possible based on the time. The monster riot is approaching, and Chiffon Mountain is too close to the Wang family's territory. The Wang family may also want to solve this hidden danger in advance. Everyone speculated for a long time, with all kinds of ideas, but in the end they couldn't get around one fact. The Wang family's move on Qi Mountain this time seemed to be a huge investment, and they must be determined to win. There are many monsters in Qi Mountain, and there is also a powerful foundation-building monster. To be safe, this time I will go with Changxin and Qingming, and Changfeng and Qingwen will stay in the clan. After a brief discussion, the old patriarch preliminarily decided on the candidates for this mission. Clan leader, let me lead the team this time. Everyone will feel more at ease if you stay on the mountain. When the sixth uncle Song Changfeng heard that the old clan leader was going down the mountain in person, he was a little worried and wanted to replace the old clan leader to carry out this mission. After all, the old clan leader was over 100 years old. If he acted rashly, it would easily consume too much energy and affect his lifespan. Everyone was also a little worried about this. Don't think too much. I'm not at the point where I can't take action. After I go down the mountain, the family will be handed over to you. Song Gushan shook his head with relief and decided to go on this mission by himself. In addition to the ninth uncle Song Changxin and Song Qingming, who were at the 8th level of Qi Refining, there were also 3 6th level Qi Refining cultivators, including the 5th aunt Song Changling, the 13th uncle Song Changsheng and the 4th brother Song Qingru. Together with the old clan leader Song Gushan who was at the 9th level of Qi Refining, they were the most elite force of the Song family. After discussing this matter, everyone left the old clan leader's cave one after another. After everyone else left, Song Qingming mysteriously took out a storage bag and handed it to Song Gushan. Qingming, what are you doing? Song Gushan did not open the storage bag directly, but asked Song Qingming in confusion. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.